Electrifying showroom at Toyota of Kirkland and take it home the same day. Visit in person today at Toyota of Kirkland or online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien.
Breaking ball struck him out. That's a dozen for George Kirby.
A Mariners game is the perfect place to spend a Seattle summer day. You can kick back with some Moto Pizza, take in the views of Elliott Bay, enjoy a local brew, and soak up the sun. It's like going to the beach, only better, because you don't have to pack a big cooler, you can't get stung by a jellyfish, and there's no sand to get in your shoes or anywhere else. Plus, the beach usually doesn't have JP, Cal, or Julio.
Fair ball, base hit. Julio hits third base. He's racing home. He's saved. Cal Raleigh delivers.
Pass me that sunscreen. Let's go. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
Bring your whole crew to this week's summer send-off at T-Mobile Park. The Mariners homestand wraps up with 2 more value games against the Rays, which means you can score seats for as little as $10 to tonight's matchup at $6.40 and tomorrow's midweek matinee at $110. Go to mariners.com/value games and lock in your tickets now.
Did you know about the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program? You can get an $80 benefit card to spend at local farmers markets. Use it to buy seasonal fruits, vegetables, and honey. Just bring your new SFMNP card with you when you shop. When you make a purchase, the grower will scan your card. Then you'll confirm the purchase with your PIN.
You're all set. Enjoy those tomatoes.
Thank you. I will.
Find participating markets, local contacts, and more info at seniorfmnp.com. That's seniorfmnp.com.
You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
Right there. Look it up. That baby's going to get out of here. A 3-run homer right near Rosarena against this former team.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners beat the Rays yesterday thanks to a 3-run home run from Randy Rosarena. The Phillies walked off the Astros. That means your Seattle Mariners are now just 3.5 games back. In the NFL today, it's roster cutdown day. All teams must submit their final 53-man roster by 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Happy Tuesday. We got the dugout. All Mariners coming your way at 1 p.m. from 1 to 2. Before we get to any of that, we are starting with the Mariners, though it's roster cutdown day. We got a lot of stories to get to with the Seahawks, too. Bump, the Mariners yesterday got another win. They've now won, I want to say, 3 of their last 4. Meanwhile, the Houston Astros, once 5 games ahead, have lost 3 of their last 4. What's that mean?
Uh-oh.
That lead has been cut to just 3.5 games, and Bump, I found myself in a place I promised I would never be again. Hopeful. I do this every single year, and I know Mariners fans do this every single year. I had a friend send me a screenshot of a text message between him and another friend the other day, both of them being like, oh, I can't help it. I can't help it, but I'm dreaming. I can't help it, but I'm hoping. And, of course, this happens. The Mariners have broken our hearts so many times, and yet I can't help but scoreboard watch because we are seeing that lead close.
You're supposed to. 3.5 games behind, right? You're supposed to keep a little bit of faith, but be cautious with this team, right? Because we understand they have the capabilities to go on a run. but they also have the capabilities to hurt your heart. They're a tease right now. It's like you're walking the girl home and she's friend zoned you for show, but she gives you little hints like, oh, you might have a chance. You get to the door, you're hoping for a goodbye kiss. She gives you the pat on the shoulder or the hug and says, all right, man, I'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow you show up. You go home, you think about it, and you're like, you know what, she just might be feeling me. She might be feeling me. So you show up the next day, you go to school, and you're like, you know what, let's walk her home again and see what happens. And sometimes she gives you the vibe, sometimes she doesn't. I've been that guy before. All my fellas out there, you know what I'm talking about. You've been that guy.
No.
You've been in that friend zone, but she's giving you a little indicators to make you think. So I'm looking at the schedule for these guys in the second half, and they're indicators make you think they're about to go on a run. All right, second half of the season. Friday, July 26th, you beat the White Sox. You sweep these guys. 3 games in a row. Cool, you're good. And then, Monday, you play against Boston. You lose 14-7. You come back, you beat them 10-6, and you lose that series. All right, let's bounce back. You win 2 games out of 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies. You're like, quality win right there. Let's get it. And then what happens? You get swept. No, you don't get swept, but you lose the series to the Detroit Tigers, a.k.a. the Lions. Then you bounce back against the Mets. This is baseball, but the up and downs with this team just seem a bit more drastic. Yeah. It's like either they're all in or they're all out. You win 4 games in a row, and then you lose 6 games in a row. You win 1, then you lose 3 games in a row. So this is just who the Mariners are. But they are 3.5 games behind. You have to watch the Astros and see what they're doing. And that kid Miller was on point last night.
Oh, my God. 10 strikeouts. Or, excuse me, this was his 10th of the game.
The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Strikeout number 10, matching a career best. 10 strikeouts for Bryce Miller. 2 down here in the 7th.
Phenomenal game from Bryce, as Bump said. This following a phenomenal game from Brian Wu. I mean, your starters are still delivering late into the season. The storyline is playing out exactly as we all have been talking about. All of us, every fan, every reporter, everyone listening and watching knew your pitching is going to remain great. Your offense will always dictate how this season unfolds, because if they remain god-awful, you're not going anywhere. If they can just improve a little bit, your pitchers will continue to deliver. That's exactly what happened yesterday.
Yeah, you got to score 5 or 6. I saw the stat last night. I was watching the game. They said the Mariners are like 40-something in a single digit when they score 5 runs. 5 or more. It's crazy. And I know that's a tall order, right? The best teams in the game are averaging, 7, 8 runs a game or something like that. But that's a number you need to hit. And then also we talked to Adam Jew yesterday, and what did he say? He goes, man, they only win when they hit home runs. What'd you get last night? 2 bombs, 1 from Randy, 1 from Polanco. And then the stat that I threw out there, if Cal hits a bomb, you're dang near guaranteed to win that ball game. So we know what they have to do to win the ball game, and we know what is almost guaranteed to show up every single day is that the arms on the mound are going to give you a quality start and give you a chance to win that ball game. So 2 in a row, man. You got the series against the Giants. You're up 1 against the Rays. Let's get another one tonight. And then after that, man, you got the Angels. You got the A's. Come on, man. It's right there for you.
Regardless, service could still be here. I mean, maybe the vibes would be a little different. We had, you mentioned Adam being on talking about this team depending on home runs. He also mentioned the vibes just being, slightly different. Like there's a little less pressure. You know what I mean? It feels a little bit different. There's, though, the same formula that you're seeing and the same thing that you're seeing, but the schedule's changing. Like, we knew that regardless of whatever happened at the top, this team would be facing a softer part of the schedule while Houston was simultaneously facing a tougher part. We knew that they would have an opportunity. Like, this isn't a drastic change in who this team is. This is a drastic change in the opportunity this team has. Can they seize it? So far, yeah.
I mean, and that's what we do with sports, right? At least with baseball in the second half of the season and football for sure, you look at, okay, what's going to be a tough stretch? I was looking at, I was doing my show the other day, Talking Cougs, is airing this Friday. Me and Alex Brink on Root Sports, y'all holla at us. And we're breaking down the schedule. There's 2 byes this year for the Cougs. And we're looking at it in thirds. We're saying, okay, you get through that first third and you're like 4-1, you got a chance. You go undefeated in that second third, and then maybe you can drop 1 in that last third, and we'll see what happens. That's what we do with baseball, especially around this time of the year when you're in a close race like this. You have to do it. The players, they'll tell us that they're not looking at the schedule, and I believe some of it. I don't think they look at it obviously as much as we do. But you think that the people involved with the Astros didn't look at this stretch and say, all right, we have to sweep the White Sox. All right, we got 1. We can win the series against Boston. Dang, we dropped that one. All right, what about Baltimore? Baltimore's coming up. We know that's going to be a tough one. Let's win 2 games out of 4. Boom, you do exactly that. And then they're looking at Philly, and they're saying, all right, we have to win this one because the Mariners are on us. The same way we're looking at the Astros. The Mariners are peeping over their shoulder. Or excuse me, the Astros are peeping over their shoulder, looking at the Mariners and saying, what are these guys doing? So the fact that they are still in the mix at this point of the season, I think you have to be invested a bit and watch what the Mariners are doing, watch what the Astros are doing, and take it day by day.
And if you're someone who says, you guys are idiots, you guys are so stupid. Like, I know that person's there. I know there is someone somewhere talking to their car radio or to their smartphone or to their smart speaker, Bluetooth speaker, or whatever, and they're saying, Bump, Stacy, you guys are stupid. Okay? Funny, hilarious, wonderful people, but stupid.
Stacy, you guys are stupid.
You guys are stupid. Because this team has so many times before lost a season or lost out on a chance at the playoffs in the final game, the final series. They've dropped the ball somehow. They've had an opportunity to do things right and fix things and finally get to the playoffs and disappointed us. This is not a team that, like the Orioles, had consecutive 100-loss seasons, or even like Houston before their rebuild had 100-loss seasons and was god-awful. This is a team that sits right in the middle. This is a team that hovers around just doing enough, but not enough to really make the playoffs. And we know that, and yet this is also a team that has just enough to surprise you. And so it's hard not to root for your team to win. Like, I try to protect myself emotionally, but when Randy Arozarena hits a 3-run bomb, I'm not sitting there going, doesn't matter. I'm cheering.
Yeah.
You know?
You are, because
you can't help it.
Especially, and that was big for Randy, man. His first home run at T-Mobile, he hit the scene kind of hot with the Mariners. It kind of fizzled out a little bit. So you wanted to see that, man. You want to see offensive production at home, even though the record at home is pretty good, right? For some reason, the record at home is good, but we don't get the performances that we want at home. It's these close games that you're really squeaking by with a 3-1 win, a 2-1 win. So you want to see guys have that type of success at home, because we know what the narrative is about T-Mobile. It's uneven, the batter's box. Something's wrong. It's people don't feel like they're squared up. I know what it's like being in a batter on a tee box on a golf course, and the tee box just has you feeling all weird. You're slicing, you're pulling. I would imagine that's something that these guys are feeling, and that's based off of what the players are saying. This isn't us making things up. Players are actually saying that. So when you see Randy go yard at home, you got to applaud that, man.
Come on now. Let's see. 360 saying we'll probably lose that last game against the Astros for the playoffs, but I'm watching with interest. Last night was fun. I was there. You never know. I mean, this is a flawed Astros team whose offense is making up for a weakened pitching staff. Like, this is not the Astros that have in the past won World Series and been to the ALCS over and over and over. In Houston, they have been talking all year long about how frustrated they are with certain things there.
Yeah.
It's just that they are so good and constructed such a great roster that for them a bad season is like, 7 through 9 aren't performing. So can't relate. I simply cannot relate. It's like my Super Sweet 16 when someone's disappointed they got a BMW and I don't know, not something else. Like, I can't relate to Houston problems. But we've been saying this over and over and over. Someone else saying, service and to heart, we're holding this team back. It sounds like the vibes are a little lighter with Dan Wilson, and there's probably something about getting a boost of, we got to do this on our own as players when you have your manager or your coach fired.
Yeah.
This team is in an easier part of the schedule, and this team needs big changes in the offseason.
It's an interesting place to be in, right? Because your skipper was let go, you're bringing a new skip. It's set up perfectly because you are playing a softer part of your schedule. And I don't care if service was there or not there. You would still have the same expectation during this part of the season. You're going out there, and it seems like so far you're taking care of business. But with all the change that's going on, it's almost like the same way people want to assign fault or blame is the same way they want to assign praise in this situation. And the fault and the blame happened over years, right? And then you look at this season, this happened over the course of, 120 to 30 something games. So I feel like the blame would be easier to kind of to give out. The the praise for the success is going to be the toughest place to kind of evaluate, the toughest thing to evaluate, because we're seeing that as such a small sample, and the expectations would be the same with this team, regardless who was the skipper, who was in a dugout. You have the Giants, the Rays, the Angels, and the A's. Don't matter who is the skipper, you're looking at this moment or this part of the schedule and saying they should do their thing. But whatever it takes mentally for this team to remain in this place that they are right now, whether these guys are believing in what Dan is saying, Dan's coming with a different message, you go ahead and you buy into that.
Yeah.
Whether they're looking at the schedule and saying we should take care of these teams, we are capable, you go ahead and do that. I don't really care who gets the praise at this point. What I care about is that you take care of this part of the schedule and the A's struggle in their part of the schedule, and then you meet up later on in the season and hopefully you're within the game or up a game and you have a real shot to control your own destiny.
Look, playoff baseball is wildly fun. I mean, for goodness sakes, the Mariners were swept in the ALDS by Houston. It didn't feel like a sweep. It was also the most fun I've had. Heartbreaking moments.
Yeah.
Like, I never want to see that Yordan Alvarez home run again in my life.
My goodness.
Never again.
I ain't been hurt like that in a long time.
I want to ban it from my timeline. Like, I need to talk with Elon or something and figure out how to, like, make that just content that we never see. But I get trying to guard yourself. And I also get this kind of protest that happens in your head when you think, well, God, like, I really want my team to make some fundamental changes and, like, really try to improve in drastic ways. And so, you know, I'm worried that if they make the playoffs, maybe they won't do that. And, like, I totally get that thought. I also, once they start making it real and closing the gap between them and Houston and start winning, you can't help but start rooting for that. And it's like, you do it knowing what you're doing. It's your analogy about, like, getting friend zoned and knowing it but still trying is totally right on for this.
Yeah, I've been there. But you know what? I won.
Yeah,
I got
you
out
did.
The friend zone. So let's get out the friend zone, boys. Let's go get it.
God. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one today is roster cutdown day in the NFL. Teams have to trim their rosters from 90 to 53 by 1 p.m. today. What's the real headline?
Yeah, for players like Bump, every day was roster cutdown day. That means there were players on this roster who knew every single day they were fighting for their jobs.
Dang.
It's true, though.
Shots fired. You know what? We're going to revisit your swimming career here in a second, okay?
Okay, we don't need to talk about my swimming
once
career.
Once a week you've been at me, but no, that's real talk.
I have received a ribbon.
Like, no, but that's real. Like, when I was playing every day, I treated practice like a game. I'm like, I don't know when this is going to happen.
Exactly.
So there's a stress that some of these players live under. Like, DK ain't stressed out. Lockett ain't stressed out. Gino's good. Uchenna was before he got hurt. There are guys that know they're going to be on this team. They're paying them too much money, and they produce. There are a lot of guys who are looking around this locker room and saying, I got to beat out him. I got to beat out him. You are sizing guys up every single day. The crazy part about this is that back in my day, there were 3 days that you got, that were cut down. So you make it through one wave and you relax for a little bit, but then the next day you're like, I got to go out and perform. These guys wait until the very last day. There's one cut down day, and this is going to be the most stressful day for some of these guys' football career, man. Yeah, good luck to all you guys out there. If and when you get cut.
Headline
Matt.
Goodness gracious.
I thought you guys were best
I just got cut again. I got cut on my
You
own
got cut
show.
again. You got fired on your
Goodness
day. Well, not your day
gracious.
off, but
Matthew,
wow, Matt.
telling my
that's
story.
really
I'm trying to
messed
be
up.
there for people
That's
right
I was
now.
like,
really,
wow, this is boring.
Bump was
Goodness
being
gracious.
vulnerable, and you just couldn't stand it.
There was a
Goodness
pause.
gracious.
When there's a pause, I cut him off.
Bump's trying to bare his heart and soul, and Matt's
Back-
like, lame.
Back to my story,
uninterested.
Matthew.
What a loser.
If and when you get cut today, hit your boy up, man. I'll help you through this. All right, it's not you get cut, you think you are worthless. You think that I'm not good enough to play this game. You are good enough. Remember this. You are good enough, right? Maybe not for the NFL. Maybe for the CFL. Maybe for a different team. But be proud, man. Keep your head up.
Well said. Okay.
The Arena League exists.
Curtis.
UFL, yeah.
Just staring Matt down. Just kidding, Matt. We love you.
Headline number two. Bryce Harper and the Phillies walked off the Astros last night. The Mariners now only trail Houston by 3.5 in the AL West. What's the real headline?
So you're telling me there's a chance? I can't help but do that.
Yeah, there is a chance. And I love that Bryce was the one who walked off on him. There's nothing like a Bryce Harper home run. It's just the swag is on point. It's dramatic. I love it. Astros, just keep doing what you're doing. All right, we need your help. We need you here. Now, Mariners, you do what you do and win your ball games that you're supposed to win. So, yeah, good luck, man.
I mentioned the Yordan Alvarez home run just being painful, and I never want to see it again. And a listener said, what to you was more painful? Super Bowl 49 at the one, obviously the interception, Malcolm Butler, or Yordan Alvarez's home run. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, the interception happened in a Super Bowl. You could have been back-to-back for the first time since the Patriots. But I hate the Houston Astros more than the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I would go with the Alvarez, honestly, because at the time when the Hawks were, in that situation, I loved the Hawks, but didn't have the love I have for them now, because I was still in that age where I could technically still be playing, so I was still kind of bitter a little bit. So it hurt, but with the Alvarez deal, I was completely invested. I was locked in. I was a Mariner that day.
I'll tell you what I hate about both. The person that always wins won. Like, the Patriots were just undeniable. And it's so annoying when people who always win again. And that's exactly how I felt with both Houston and with the Patriots. It's just like, God, let someone else get it. And I say that knowing the Seahawks at the time were a favorite heading into the season and obviously had just won a Super Bowl, so they weren't necessarily an underdog. But, God, these two franchises have given their fans so much. And it's like, let someone else. Houston, let someone else go to the ALCS for once. Just let someone else do that, please.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, Connor Stalions denied ever advanced scouting for Michigan under head coach Jim Harbaugh. What's the real headline?
It's a very interesting stance to take from someone who was literally on the Central Michigan sideline. By the way, the funniest part about this is Connor Stalions saying he doesn't recall that. This is from Netflix's new Untold series when he's talking about advanced scouting.
I've never advanced scouted. 2, if this is about signals, I obtain signals the same way every other team does, through watching TV copies and talking to other intel guys and other teams. And what set me apart was the way in which I organized that information and processed it on game day.
I think it's weird to say I don't recall being on the Central Michigan sideline. Not like this wasn't me. You guys are crazy. Like, it's an interesting way to frame it. That's all I'll say.
That's lawyer talk. His lawyer got him on point. There are things that you can say that will keep you out of certain type of trouble. Remember when all the PED stuff were going down? I misremember. Like, lawyers are getting their guys ready for this, and that's exactly what we're hearing right now. I don't recall. Like, what were you, under the influence? Like, what are you leaning on? What plan do you have? This is just the first phase in this plan when it comes to defending himself. This is funny, man, because we recall. We saw you. There's pictures, my man. And you got on the team issue. Like, you were trying to blend in. So we'll see how this thing ends up.
He showed the picture of the person people think is Connor Stalions on the sideline at Central Michigan, and he said, I don't even think that guy looks like me. Curtis, didn't they find a ton of evidence, too, about, like, tickets that were booked and all this stuff that, like, kind of led to a trail?
Opponents. He had, I think, purchased tickets to each stadium in his own name. I think Autzen Stadium had receipts from him. I think Husky Stadium had receipts from him. It was just all these future Michigan opponents had box office receipts in his own name. I mean, if you're going to lead a life of crime, or at least, I wouldn't say this is crime so much, but this is, pretty shady activity, don't use your own name.
And if it's enough for the NCAA to think they have the evidence to lay out whatever punishments they want, I hate to break it to Connor, but, like, you're not going to convince me in a documentary that you didn't do this.
Nah.
Like, an entire government body for college football found what they needed.
They've investigated. It wasn't like they did it over a few days. It was like a couple months, right? A few months. They dug deep, man. And you were found guilty. That's why Harbaugh is not invited to any NCAA functions for until 2028 or something like that. It's real. So I'm interested to see how he's going to defend himself. But I hear he's coaching like youth football right now.
Connor Stalions?
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. It's not like doing this makes you a bad person, but it's the same thing, I think, when Jim Harbaugh talked about not knowing, like, I never did that. Like, I don't believe you. I don't.
He's falling on the sword, man.
Yeah.
Well, he has to fall on the sword. He's reluctant. Like, the sword is right there. He doesn't want to do it, but he knows he has to do it. Again, this is going to be interesting. I'm always fascinated when people can convince themselves that they didn't partake in something that they clearly had a huge involvement with. The human mind is very interesting when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, I am very excited to watch this Untold documentary, though. The Untold series is great. I just watched the Steve McNair one.
Oh, yeah.
You watched it? I haven't watched it yet.
I have thoughts about it. I'll share during the break. But I do really enjoy that series as a whole. Yeah, so I'm really excited to watch this one. All right, we do have plenty of Mariners stuff to talk about. 1 to 2 is all Mariners, and of course we're getting to Mariners before then. Very excited for our conversation with the Athletic and MLB Network's Radio's Jim Bowden. He's joining us at noon. I know he has thoughts on how this roster was built, on budget constraints, all kinds of stuff. Before we get to any of that, though, it is roster cutdown day in the NFL. Every team has to submit their 53-man roster by 1 p.m. Pacific time. Will this roster be better than last year's? That's next.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Leaps up and he makes the catch.
With voices like Ryan Roland Smith, Gary Hill, and Mike Blowers.
Long-term pitching, if you have that foundation, good things are going to happen.
It makes him so valuable when he's hitting.
This team is a team that's going to have to bunch hits together, put pressure on the defense.
Hear from the players and coaches, and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Dreer.
They find a way to grind it out, stay in the game. I thought it was a really good win for them.
The Dugout, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Homeowners, Bob Stelton here. Now, I'm sure you've seen metal roofs on commercial properties, but did you know they're an option for your home? Ever since speaking with Anthony at Asset Roofing about their metal roofs, I've been seeing them everywhere, and maybe because Asset Roofing is installing a ton of metal roofs this season. A metal roof lasts longer, is more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. Asset Roofing cuts each metal panel in-house, which speeds up the production process and saves customers money. If you're redoing your roof this year, get a quote from Asset Roofing on a metal roof. I recommend Asset Roofing because they're honest, do amazing work, and prioritize safety within their work culture. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Jake was suffering from osteoarthritis when his doctors asked him to consider surgery.
However, there's a 9-month recovery period where essentially you're not walking and you're not putting much in the way of weight on.
That wasn't going to work for him, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
I heard the ads, and that caused me to do due diligence.
And how are you doing now?
There's not really any pain now at all. I have no limitations in what I want to do.
Wow, so you're able to do anything you want to do?
I recently played golf at Cycle House down in Pebble Beach, walked 18 holes, which I hadn't been able to do for a number of years, and then went for about a 2-mile walk with my friend.
I take it you'd recommend stem cell therapy to others then?
Absolutely. Had I known then what I know now, I would have done this several years ago and saved myself a lot of pain and suffering and agony and limitation to activity.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
We are Seattle Sports.
Swing and a miss, struck him out, matching a career best. 10 strikeouts for Bryce Miller.
The home of the Mariners.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Two things you're looking at when you're shopping for a new car or SUV: choice and exceptional deals. Visit our friends at Mazda of Everett and you'll be satisfied with both. Which Mazda moves you? Find out at Mazda of Everett. Choose from over 600 new Mazdas in stock, and right now they're offering 0% financing on all new Mazda CX-5s, CX-30s, CX-50s, and CX-90s on approved credit. Need more reasons? They also treat you like family and want you to drive away happy. See for yourself at MazdaofEverett.com.
At Sound Pain Solutions, some of the most difficult cases we see are patients suffering from failed back surgery syndrome. Bill is an avid golfer, but his pain got so bad he couldn't play and was considering surgery.
My back was killing me. I could not play any more golf. I could not walk more than half a block. I did not want surgery on my back, and I researched many different ways of getting this fixed. Behind that was horror stories from my friends who had back surgery, but it wasn't worth it, and I just made conclusion to that. There's got to be another way.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Bill back on the course without the risk of surgery. We did this using non-invasive, FDA-cleared procedures like non-surgical decompression, laser, pressure wave, and bioelectrical treatments. Now, Bill is back to playing golf and enjoying life. Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our non-surgical and drug-free treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Okay, we're talking football for the next 30, 40 minutes or so. We got a lot to cover. Roster cut down. We have two separate conversations here, so don't worry. We're covering our bases. It's not going to be all right now, but we have you covered. Let's talk about whether or not this roster is going to be better than last year. Before we do, I was kind of hoping to lean on some of your experience, Bump. You've experienced roster cutdown day, a different iteration of it, because when you were doing roster cutdown, it went from the regular roster 90 and then, what was it, like 75 and then final 53. So you had different phases. But what was your experience like?
It was stressful, man. It was stressful because it's a numbers game. You know it's a numbers game. And we talk about the receiver position all the time. How many are they keeping? They kept 6 receivers out of the last 2 training camps. And these players are doing the research. They know their history. I remember sitting there and saying, all right, Deion's on the team. Nate's on the team. The other Deion's on the team. Jordan Kent's probably going to make the team. So like roster math. Yeah, so I'm breaking it down and I go, all right, well, how am I different from that guy? What do I bring to the table? Well, he doesn't do punt returns, but he does cover on kickoff. Okay, I need to get on the kickoff team. You're doing football cut day math in your head every single day. The best part about when I was playing is that you made it through the wave and I go, boom, okay, that guy's gone. So now how do I compare to this other receiver that they brought in? Oh, they brought in Sammy Parker. Okay, Sammy Parker, we're the same type of receiver. What can I do better than Sammy? So there's a constant evaluation that's going on in your head. You have no idea what's going on upstairs and how they view you in that situation. So it's stressful, but it's also competition, though. I mean, and everyone that has the opportunity to play for an NFL team has that competitiveness in them, or they wouldn't even be in that situation. But then you have to convince yourself that that you're better than that guy, that you do bring something to the table. There are some dudes you're just not competing with. Like I wasn't competing with Nate Burleson. He's going to be fine. I'm not competing with Deion Branch. He's going to be fine. Those guys over there, the rest of y'all can get it. Now, we might be cool in this film room, but when we get out on the field, man, it's all about me, and I'm gonna outplay. I'm gonna make more plays than you. So it's just a competitive situation that breeds greatness, honestly.
I always wonder that, though. Like, I look at, like, if, like, D. Eskridge, Derek Young, and Aesop Winston Jr. are all staying together and you're, like, friends with people and you're hanging out, I always think, like, what must that be like? Like, the cognitive dissonance of, like, this person's cool, but I know it's him or me. Like, that's so tough.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, they've been in these situations before, all the way since, Pop Warner, youth football. You're beating out your buddy.
Yeah.
You know, my best friend, Helmer Rodriguez, he always talks crap. He goes, man, I only didn't play because you were there. If you were there, I would have started. And I'm like, yeah, you probably would have started, but that's my best friend. We're competing every single day through high school at the quarterback position and wide receiver position. So you have experience in that. It's just at this level, it's a bit more cutthroat, obviously, because this money is involved. You want to get that bag.
Also, like, there's always this controversial idea of, like, I think of the Amara Darboh thing. Kason Williams didn't end up having, like, some amazing NFL career, right? It's not like the Seahawks made a stupid decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely still have the theory that they made a decision based on draft stock.
He was
so
balling.
These guys are up against that, too. Like, if you are an undrafted rookie, this team put no investment draft-wise into you. If you come in there and you're competing against a guy, like, when I look at D. Eskridge, I'm like, that's the advantage the ultimate advantage he has isn't speed. The ultimate advantage he has is he was a second-round pick, and if I'm John Schneider, I'm going, can I salvage this? Like, can I make this work? I really want to, because I could have had Creed Humphreys. Like, I really want to make this work.
Yeah, they're looking at, like, the big play that Cody White made that was called back, right? D still has an advantage on him because of exactly what you mentioned. We've invested in him. And then when D. Eskridge takes a punt return for 79 yards to the house, you think Cody White and Aesop Winston and D. Williams are, like, happy for him, but also like, dang, he just made a play. I got to make a play now. I have to do this. So, yeah, everyone's in a different situation, man, from the starters all the way down to the 3 and the 4s. The 2s, 3s, and 4s have to bring more to the table than just playing one position, than just being a receiver or just being a linebacker. You got to be all over the field because when it's all said and done, when special teams is out there, you're not seeing a guy getting paid $15 million out there. Mm-hmm. Nah, you're seeing the pawns out there, the guys who they're willing to sacrifice. So there's a different level of stress. Don't get it twisted. DK's under a different type of stress. He knows he has to ball out for this team to win. His performance is directly correlated to the success of this team. And he feels that. Tyler Lockett knows that. JSN knows that. So it's a different stress for them. This part of the year ain't stressful. They're working on their game. They're getting in shape. They're learning the playbook. Their stress really starts week 1 against the Denver Broncos.
I have a question from a listener. Then we're going to move on to the other part of this conversation about whether or not the roster is better. I'm going to ask the question. If it's too messy or you're like, ooh, I'm not trying to say the wrong thing, just say pass.
Yeah.
360 says, when you were cut, well, they want to know who you feel made it over you. You don't have to answer, but did that guy go on to be good?
No, the guy they picked didn't. Nah, and I felt like I was better than him. My situation, I just got hurt at the wrong time. I got hurt right before training camp. I broke a bone in my foot, and I was out for 4 to 6 weeks. So then I got back in training camp with like a week or 2 left in the preseason, and I knew I was going to have to do something just ridiculous to make the squad because guys had moved on. But no, if the guy who they picked over me played maybe 1 or 2 years after that and didn't do much.
Okay. Let's talk about whether this roster is better than last year. I've already had a listener say, I think it's better just because the change in coach, maybe like a rejuvenation for the roster, different eyes on the roster. I was thinking about where this club was last year and this year and what might be different. I mean, you're starting the year, this person's obviously going to make the roster. You're starting the year with Leonard Williams already rostered. You've got Byron Murphy that you've added. Reek Wolin is healthy right now. Last year he was dealing with injury. I feel like the answer is yes, but what do you think?
No, I think the answer is yes. I'm going to start on offense, though. JSN coming into his second year is going to be better. I think we've already seen that. Gino having a coordinator that I feel like is going to highlight his attributes a bit more when it comes to play action, throwing the football down the field. I think he's going to be better. This offensive line is going to be better. I think Laken Tomlinson at that guard is going to be better, and I think when Connor Williams is healthy and ready to go, he's going to be better. Still waiting on Abe. I hope he's ready to go, and then Charles Cross is going to be good. On offense, you're not depending on a whole bunch of new pieces. You're depending on pieces that have already been here, taking the next step. And I think we can do that. Defensively, I think that's where you look at a bit more of the new pieces and say, okay, how are you going to do? We're looking at, like you mentioned, a full season with the Big Cat. We're looking at Byron Murphy doing his thing over there. We are looking at new safeties, whether it be Jenkins or Wallace. How are they going to contribute? I think that is an automatic upgrade from Jamal Adams because he just wasn't healthy. I think Quandre Diggs could have been here and done well, and done his thing and been fine. But you got some new pieces there. And then the arrival of Jay Love late in the season, I think, is important. That's why they signed him to a 3-year with $36 million contract. He's already making plays. The linebacker spot, I think you got better at that linebacker spot when it comes to coverage. I don't know what they look like in the run game too much now right at this point because we haven't seen it. But I've seen Dotson move. I've seen Baker do his thing at one point or two. I think they fit into what Mike McDonald wants to do. So the new players are going to enhance this roster. The old players who have been here are going to be coached up in a different way that I feel like can allow them to take the next step. D. Spoon is still young. He can take a step. Rick Woolen had a down year. He can take the next step. The defense should be the focal point when it comes to making this team better because they were the weak link last year. You bring in Mike McDonald, defensive coach. You see what he did with Baltimore. I think this team is better. Offensively, the vets will grow, and defensively, this new concept and scheme will highlight some of the old guys who are here, but also help these young guys make the squad and make some noise as well.
There's also continued development for guys that you have. To the listener's point about there being a new coach and new eyes on this roster, is the Dre Jones that was rostered to start the season last year the same role Dre Jones is going to have this year, right? That also makes things interesting because you start thinking about, it's not like they weren't in nickel plenty last year, but how might they use defensive backs, the exact same defensive backs minus Jamal and Quandre, differently this year? It feels like the roster is more new than it really is because you're wondering how Mike McDonald might use some of these guys differently.
You know what it's like? It's like when you see your kid do something that they couldn't do a week ago, like they make a movement or something that they couldn't do. I'm like, oh, snaps, okay. You're starting to, you're growing. You're starting to figure some stuff out. Yeah, like, okay. I saw my daughter put her foot in the ground and just hit a rocket from outside the box and put it in the upper corner. I go, oh, okay, you're doing that now. That's the way I look at this defense. I see guys flying to the football, gap integrity, not missing tackles in the open field. It's going to happen, but you see them moving in a way that we haven't seen in a while.
Exactly. Really good points from the Mac and Jack's text line on all of this. We're going to get back to roster cutdown in particular at 11. We're going to talk about some of the new faces we know we're going to see and then make our case for two guys we may not, but think that we should. Before we get to that, why one NFC contender might be too emotionally spent to win a Super Bowl in 2024.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Saul.
Jeff Passan joins us.
What this staff has done, can you give me any historical context?
Since the turn of the century, the second lowest walk rate of a starting rotation over the course of a full season. The only team ahead of them was the 2005 Minnesota Twins. If you go back and look at that, a bunch of soft-tossing garbage arms. These are guys who were throwing like 95 to 100. We came into the season this year saying this could be really good. And honestly, I think they've exceeded expectations.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit ConsumerCellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
We are Seattle Sports.
Toss the first in time to get low, and the ball game is over. The Mariners win it.
The home of the Mariners.
You gotta love baseball season, but when it comes to your windows, you don't want any curveballs. Rick Riz here, reminding you to trust your clubhouse with locally owned Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Experience the difference with high-quality products, expert installation, and top-notch customer service. It's always a home run with Pella. Schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Just go to PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic Collector Car, Truck, and Boat Auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Gates open at 9 a.m., auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
After years of wear and tear, Joe had osteoarthritis in his wrists and shoulders.
I've pretty much worked out my whole life. I actually decided I'm going to train for a half Ironman triathlon.
The pain was interfering with every part of his life.
Basically, can't sleep, causing those kind of problems, very limited movement.
Joe had surgery, but it wasn't the fix he was looking for.
The doctor told me, he's like, hey, this is just going to be a partial fix. You're going to eventually need joint replacement.
That's when he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
And they're just getting better. I can basically do full motion. I don't have really any pain.
What kinds of things are you able to do now that you weren't before?
I like to golf, and it definitely has made my golf game not as painful. And sleeping. I'm sleeping better because I don't have that aching at night going on and having to roll over.
So, are you recommending this to others?
Oh, everybody I talk to. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
NFL Network analyst Manti Te'o isn't buying the 49ers heading into the season. Now, he's not the only one. Bump, the other day we had Benjamin Solak of ESPN on our show, and he's still plenty, positive about the 49ers, high on the offense, but says that this defense towards the end of the year was really struggling against the run, and that there is reason to kind of fade them heading into this season. Manti has a different approach.
And I just see an emotionally drained team. They've
been to the NFC Championship 4 in the past 5 years. They've been to the Super Bowl twice, and they lost that Super Bowl to the same team. It reminds me of when I was with the Saints in 2017. We had the Minneapolis Miracle. We had to suffer that. That is just emotionally draining. Then the very next year, we play the Rams in the NFC Championship, and we have the no-call PI. We go through that. I can only imagine for the San Francisco 49ers what that feels like. And then I put on the Seattle Seahawks preseason game, and you see that party that's in there.
Yeah.
The first drive, Geno Smith goes down there, hits Jackson Smith and Jigba, hits DK Metcalf, and that's without Kenneth Walker. That's without Tyler Lockett. And they're out there having a blast. Mike Robb's on there, Michael Bennett's on the broadcast. It's just a party. It's not the same, when I watch the San Francisco 49ers. So they're not the favorite for me.
Bump, I see you nodding.
Yeah, I feel that. One, it's great to hear Manti Te'o do his thing, man. Talk about emotions. He knows what an emotional roller coaster feels like. So I feel like he is perfect for something like this because his observations just hit different when it comes to that. When it comes to his personal life and then his experience as a player. He mentioned 2 just horrible experiences as a player. And as he's talking, I'm comparing both teams in my mind. I'm sitting there at Lumen in the press box, and I'm watching what's going down. And the feel is different. Last year with Pete Carroll, it felt like there was some anxiousness, some tightness out there a little bit. These guys are flying around there having a good time. I've never been on a team that had the success that the 49ers had, but when you go to the conference championship 4 times, you go to the Super Bowl twice, and you don't get it done, you have to look at each other and say, what are we not doing? Like, what is the problem? You can always point to certain things. You can point to Jimmy Garoppolo not completing that pass late in the game against the Chiefs. You can point to some of the play call that Kyle Shanahan had. There's always directions you can go. But when you have those losses, you go through those experiences, and you haven't reached the mountaintop, and you're looking at some of the same guys who are in the building, there's got to be some type of doubt. I think the Niners are going to be fine, though. I think they're going to come out. They're going to play some good football. They're not going to just disappear. Do they have the resilience to make this run again and get to the Super Bowl, get to the conference championship when the Detroit Lions are looking good this year, when the Green Bay Packers have arrived, when Philly looks like they're going to reload? They just added a wide receiver with Dotson over there. And I'm even throwing the Cowboys because we know that during the football season, the regular season, the Cowboys are good to go. I like this perspective, and I think that that needs to be talked about more because it is stressful. A football season is stressful as heck. And when you get all the way to that point and you're not able to punch it through, what are you going to lean on to get you over that hump?
I think a typical rule for sports in general is that talent wins out. And when I look at the 49ers, I see a very talented roster, most especially on offense. But I do think there is a reality to an emotional weight in football. It's not just an excuse. It may not be the biggest impact on something, but to pretend that it's just an excuse, just coach speak, just a storyline, I think is false. You know this as a player and your experience as a player being in locker rooms and being around guys. I'm speaking from just the experience of a reporter. My first year covering this team as a beat reporter was in 2015, months after they had lost Super Bowl 49. So I go in there, my very first year covering, and I have nothing to compare it to. I'd never covered an NFL team before, so I didn't know if there was more tension in the locker room or with the team. Like, I didn't quite know how to read things quite yet. It was a great first season covering. I mean, I had plenty of learning moments, but a couple years later, this team had fallen off quite a bit statistically. And I was talking with a friend who had covered in the 2 or 3 years prior to me getting there. And I was saying, God, I was looking back at 2015, this first year I was covering. That might have been statistically one of the best seasons this team had under Carroll. They were 4th overall offensively, 4th in points, 4th in yards. They were 1st in points defensively, and they were something like 2nd, in yards. They were one of the best teams in football numbers-wise. Why didn't it feel like that at the end of the year? Like, it didn't feel like that. And he said, I think this team was broken. Like, I think the Super Bowl did something that was so intangible and at the time irreparable that it didn't matter how good they were. Like, it didn't matter. That team was good enough to go further in the playoffs than they did, and there was just something broken. That was his theory. So this is real. This is a real thing.
Yeah, I think because when you get to a certain point and you have the same result, when it's winning time, when it's time to go, you might get that. All right, man. Let's here goes again. Let's not mess this up. I coached under a coach, and oh man, it was. We're on the sideline, and we're up a couple scores, and team comes back and it's close. It's a team that we struggled to beat. It's when I was an assistant. And he literally is walking down the sideline saying, "We can't do it again, fellas. We can't do it again." I grab him, I go, "Coach, what are you doing?" Like, you're putting that out into the atmosphere. You're putting that energy out there. Like, you have to keep this good energy. As a player, if you're Fred Warner, if you are Brock Purdy, you're Deebo Samuel, you're Trent Williams, you're guys who have been here, you're Hufanga. When you get to that winning moment, there's going to be something in your head that's like, this can't happen to us again. Like, we have to push through this. And they might not even speak on it. They're not even going to say anything because these are professionals. They're going to do their thing. But that affects the way you play in those moments. The Niners are talented. I think they'll be contenders this year. And if they don't get to the mountaintop, they're going to be right there looking at it like they have been the last 5 or 6 years. But we talk about the players and the contracts kind of closing this window. I think Manti Te'o just described it perfectly. The emotional stress of not winning that game or not winning a championship is going to start closing that window too. Because now you got to start looking and saying, this clearly just ain't the right group of guys. Even though you got all pros and pro bowlers on the team, the configuration of this team just isn't enough to win.
It's one of the hardest things about sports that I'll never understand. This extends far beyond just, making it to a Super Bowl twice in 5 years, losing both times, and then kind of dealing with the emotional wreck of that. That's a lot. I would even think of like fumbling in a game, how I'd feel that entire week. Like the need to compartmentalize things, to forget things, to ignore mistakes other people make because you know you're going to make a mistake must be one of the most underrated difficult parts of playing.
Man, I muffed a punt with the Hawks. The next 3 punts were the toughest punt returns of my life.
Yeah, I bet.
So I'm like, you bet not drop this thing,
right,
man. So, yeah, you have to, with your failures, there's a mental hurdle you have to get over. They haven't been able to get over that mental hurdle. They get there every year and just keep running into that dang wall, man. It's tough.
All right, well, the Seahawks have some tough decisions to make themselves, cutting this roster down to 53 players. Rosters need to be submitted to the league by 1 p.m. Pacific. We'll probably hear about some leaks before then. First things first, though, we're going to talk about how many new faces we are going to see on the roster. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
As we sit right now, when we always have this conversation throughout the season, who's the ace? Who's the best pitcher? It's clear. Brian Wu is your best pitcher right now as we sit.
It's incredible.
That's your 5th starter.
I mean, we used to have this conversation. It was like between the first 3, it would be, okay, Castillo, okay, it's Logan, and George. But now all of a sudden you're number 5 in the rotation. Just incredible. He just throws strikes. Real simple.
He's been amazing.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I started Davis Law Group 30 years ago with the goal of bringing the highest quality of legal representation to accident victims. Seattle has changed a lot in that time, and the needs of drivers and accident victims have grown. I'm happy to say that we have too. We've expanded our team to take on the biggest challenges for accident victims across the state. Contact Washington's best personal injury team today at 206-888-8888 or visit us online at davislawgroupseattle.com.
I have a handful of stories that really affected me personally in my career and how I handle employees. Lee Johnson, coming out of his office as a customer, asked me where the service department is. I was like, yeah, go to the end of the hall, go up the stairs, go across the breezeway, open a door, go to the left. You want Chevy, go to the right. You want Mazda? Because I didn't even have enough time to say, hey, what kind of car do you have? Here comes Lee, and it's like, oh, man, come with me. Let me show you. And then have him come back and not dress me down is just almost like with that fatherly disappointment of like, that's not how we take care of people. I mean, the right way is to walk her down to the stairs, walk her up the stairs, open the door for her, go over, across the way, open up that door, introduce her to somebody. So she's comfortable, she's made it to the right place, and that we value the business. What you did was you made it seem like she was an inconvenience to you. Customers are the purpose of our day.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Are you a skilled plumber looking for a top-rated team? Join Ben's Plumbing, rated 5 stars for exceptional service. Enjoy great pay and benefits, a supportive team, and a non-commissioned plumbing career. Apply now at Ben's.Plumbing. That's Ben's.Plumbing.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Would you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play, like Bear Dynasty interior paint, their most durable one-coat hide paint ever. From a team color statement wall to a fan cave, complete with a mural honoring Nick Saban's 17-year dynasty.
Hey, I like that idea.
Nothing beats Bear Dynasty interior paint. It's everything you need all in one can.
Defend your game time with Bear and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Valid only when tended to colors from the Bear Dynasty and Marquee Interior One-Coat Hide Color Collection.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Air ball. Goodbye, baseball. Jorge Polanco with a line drive down the right field line. His 13th home run of the season.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners beat the Rays yesterday thanks to a 3-run home run from Randy Arozarena against his former team. The Phillies, meanwhile, walked off the Astros. That means your Seattle Mariners are now just 3.5 games back. It's the NFL roster cutdown day. All teams must submit their final 53-man roster by 1 p.m. Pacific time today.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. It's roster cutdown day in the NFL. Teams must submit their 53-man roster by 1 p.m. Pacific. That doesn't mean that that's when you're going to hear the final roster. Sometimes it comes out hours later. Some teams publish immediately. Seahawks tend to be one of the later teams. That's the past trend. We'll see how that looks under new head coach Mike McDonald. Let's talk about how many new faces we know we're going to see and what those young faces might mean impact-wise for this roster bump. And then you and I are going to make our case, each of us, for a young player who might not make the roster, but who we think really should get a shot. So we'll start with some of the new faces, young faces that we know we're going to see. Byron Murphy is one of those guys. Drafted number 16 overall out of Texas, coming in to help this defensive line. We asked John Boyle the other day of Seahawks.com, hey, of this rookie class, who's looked really good so far? He said, Byron, you've watched these preseason games closely. You've watched training camp practices. When you see Byron out there, do you think like, oh, this defensive line is going to get a boost?
Yeah, I see a guy who is aware of his leverage. He understands, like, look, I'm 5'9", 5'10", 300 pounds. If I get under these shoulder pads, I can stalemate this guard or this center, or I can push them back. Like, he understands that his job is thankless. He's played that position probably most of his career, right? The 1-3 tech. He's an interior lineman. He understands, like, my job is just to make this double team as tough as possible. And if I can get skinny and slide in there in the A and the B gap, now I'm going to make the running back make a false step or make a move he doesn't want to make, and my guys are going to clean him up. I see a young man who can affect the ball game right now. There are only certain positions in the game that at a young age in the league, your impact can be immediate. And interior defensive lineman is one of those, running back is the other. I think as of late, receiver has come around. But when you're talking about just affecting the game, affecting the run and the pass at one position at a young age, Byron Murphy can do exactly that. And I'm excited for him. And he's not going to have to do it every single play. He's not going to be in there for 75 to 80 plays. He'll get his 35, 40 plays, maybe 50 plays, and be able to get a break and come back fresh because Jay Reed is there, because Cat is there. We see Mike Morris make his move to the interior line as well. Byron Murphy is going to make an impact in every game that he plays in, for sure.
There are a lot of new faces when it comes to inside linebacker. The difference is, Bump, I feel really encouraged by Byron Murphy, and also understand that Byron Murphy is a rookie and he's got two experienced vets that are going to be on that defensive line with him, helping him out. Inside linebacker still has a lot of question marks. You're going to have Tyrell Dodson. He's new. Jerome Baker, he's new. Tyrese Knight in a backup role as a rookie. You might get some other guys in there. They're more like bubble guys. So we got Patrick O'Connell, John Radigan, guys like that may or may not make it. But for primarily those two starters, Tyrell Dodson, Jerome Baker, new faces, still remaining a question mark for me.
Because we haven't seen them. We haven't seen a lot of them, at least. So I paid attention closely to Tyrell Dodson last week against the Cleveland Browns. I didn't have many opportunities to tackle the ball carrier, but I think he'll be fine. I think with the connection of Byron Murphy and Big Cat and Jay Reed, he'll stay clean and he'll be able to make some tackles. My main concern was, how are you going to defend the middle of the field? That was just a weak point for this team over the past few years. Is he going to be able to drop into the middle of the field if they're playing at Tampa 2? Is he going to be able to reroute the shallow and the deep cross when he's called upon to do so? And just the way that he moves is different than any linebacker that we've had over here in the past few years. Jordan was a bigger guy. He could move, but he was a more physical type of guy. We know Bobby Wagner was physical, so was KJ. I look at Baker and Dotson, and these are the transition linebackers, the linebackers that played running back when they were in high school and now are at that second level, who have played against offenses the majority of their career where they're going to be spread out. You're going to have 2x2, 3x1s, 10 personnel, so you're going to be asked to cover a bit more. We're seeing a transition when it comes to the body type of these linebackers. There's no more – actually, there was an old-school linebacker. You're watching the game. Georgia Tech, you see that linebacker, old-school linebacker with the thick collar or whatnot? They're highlighting him like
he's a good game.
He's a dying breed. He's a dying breed. But,
players look taller. We were watching highlight – oh, what was it? God, I forget what we were watching. And I said, players looked taller back in the day.
Yeah, because them pads were huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Pads were big.
So weird.
So they're like the transition linebackers. Linebackers used to have to just drop to the hook and stay there and cover space and just light somebody up who's going across the middle. Because you can't do that anymore, you have to be able to cover, because you're seeing offenses with these crazy formations, with these specific personnels that spread the game out. These guys got to be able to move. So I don't know how physical these two are going to be. Baker has worn the green dot before with Miami. He's proven in this league. I don't know how physical McDonald's going to ask them to be, but they are playing the linebacker position. You're going to have to step up and make tackles. I think they'll be fine there. My main thing is, can they cover in space? And from what I saw last week with Dotson, in the few plays that I did see him cover in space, he looked comfortable. He didn't look lost. A lot of times you see these defensive linemen dropping in space. I talked about Mike Morris dropping in the coverage a few weeks ago. He looked coached up. He looked like he knew where to be. He wasn't just in space lost, looking like he's trying to cross I-5 and cars are just flying and he doesn't know what to do. Dotson didn't look that way either. He looked like, look, I'm dropping to my spot. I got this crosser. My hand is on his hip. I'm in good position. They look coached up in space, and I think that's really encouraging.
Last year, we had 2 starting safeties we knew would break camp with the team, obviously, Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. Those 2 are not here this year. 2 more safeties that we know will break camp with the team, Rayshawn Jenkins and Kayvon Wallace. Wallace primarily because he's an immediate backup to Jenkins, who's dealing on and off with a little bit of an injury right now. 2 new faces. We already know Julian Love. We already know Kobe Bryant. Rayshawn, we talked with him in training camp. I was excited after that interview, kind of like, oh, what could this group be like? Like you said earlier, it's a bummer not having Quandre out there. He was still very productive. He just happened to be expensive. And unfortunately for him, was getting older. And so if you're a GM, that works. You know what I mean? It's sorry, it counts against you, and a GM's going to make that decision. Rayshawn is a veteran, though. I don't feel as worried about this group as I thought I might be after 2 really notable veterans departing.
Yeah, and that's because one of the veterans that departed just couldn't stay healthy. So you reach a point where you're saying, like, just bring in somebody who's younger or healthier and let's see what happens. With Quandre, he put together, 4 or 5 really good seasons here, led the team in interceptions in several seasons, had back-to-back seasons with at least 5 interceptions. After his injury, something may have happened with his reaction time or whatnot. And last year, what was the biggest knock on this defense is that they were missing tackles. And there are a few where Quandre just put his head down and missed a couple of tackles. He was one of the better tacklers on this team, but he did have his moments as well. You get older, you get expensive, you move on. It's the nature of the business. It's not personal, it's business. I look at these safeties that you brought over. Jay Love looks like he is secure in who he is on this defense. The way that he moves, there's no hesitation. There's no reluctancy to get in there and throw his face into a tackle, even though you're not supposed to. Okay, kids, keep your head out the tackle. Use your shoulder pads. And then when we look at the other safeties, Wallace has the biggest hit of the preseason so far, that hit against the Chargers when young man was going across the middle. And Kobe Bryant picked up the ball for an interception, or caught out the air for an interception. It feels like this group is more versatile because you have safeties that can cover and that can tackle. At one point, you had a safety that was only going to tackle. He wasn't going to cover nobody and not get any interceptions unless you throw it right to his chest, and he might drop that one. The other one in Quandre Diggs can do a little bit of everything, but because it felt like Quandre was covering up for some of the mistakes of Jamal Adams, he wasn't able just to be free and run and be his true self like when Jamal was healthy. With this group, these guys can do it all. They can tackle, they can cover, they can rotate one down and keep one high. You can rotate the other side, keep one high. With Jamal, you knew he ain't going to be back there with a single high look and be that safety that's going to cover. It's just not going to happen. You knew that you could motion the tight end out or motion running back out. He's got to come down and cover him, and you're going to exploit that matchup. So, and that's not a knock on Jamal. That's just a player that he is. I guarantee you in Tennessee, they're not going to put him in coverage like that.
No.
They're going to put him in the box because that's who he is. So with these safeties, it feels a bit safer back there because you feel like there is no real weakness. Every player has a weakness in their game, but it's not like you're looking at Wallace and saying, I don't know if he's going to be able to cover. I don't know if he's going to be able to tackle. No, they've shown that they can do it.
Okay, we talked about a few of those new faces. There are obviously more, but these are the ones we're just going to focus on today. We also wanted to save some time, you and I, that each of us could argue our case for someone that we don't know if they're going to make their roster or not. It's a bubble guy, maybe an undrafted rookie, maybe an older vet that came over and signed late in free agency, someone that we think could make an impact on the roster but might not make it, and we are going to argue our case as their lawyers in front of Judge Curtis Rogers. Curtis is going to make a decision here based on who makes the best case. I apologize in advance for the player I'm representing if I don't win.
That's my stenographer.
Yeah, he's away typing here. Bump, why don't you go first?
Okay, Your Honor, my defendant, or whatever you want to call him, is listed as 6 foot, 190 pounds. Sir, I'm going to be honest with you. We know he's not 6 foot. That's what they do in rosters. They
lawyer you.
They
he was measured with his shoes on.
Yeah, I want to start off our relationship as honest as possible. My man is not 6 foot, but what he is a local guy. And the Seattle Seahawks have done a great job of taking care of their local talent. They always bring a guy in from Washington State. They're bringing a guy from Eastern. They bring in a couple guys from UW. They take care of home, and my client really appreciates that the Seattle Seahawks have been able to do this for him. My client has been on the practice squad for a couple years, and every preseason he makes a splash or two, but also he is in a group that is extremely deep. The first 3 guys in this group are going to go out and be one of the best trio of receivers in the game right now. DK Metcalf, JSN, and Tyler Lockett.
I see his client, Your Honor.
They're gonna be three of the best receivers out there, Your Honor. But you know what? You need backups. If one guy goes down, another guy has to come in and run the offense. And also, my client, he's not just a receiver, Your Honor.
Oh.
He plays special teams. He catches punts. He runs down on special teams and attempts to make tackles. When you are under 6 foot, it's a bit harder for us to go down and make tackles. But he does exactly that.
Know.
Right? Every year they bring guys in to take my client's position, and every year he does just enough to make that practice squad and to show that he can help this team out, sir. Without any bias, my client is Easop Winston Jr. Yes, he went to Washington State, and so did I.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes, he's under 6 foot, and so am I. But that doesn't matter.
Personal bias.
My client is reliable. He's a good man, and he made this team better every single week last couple years on this practice squad. He deserves a chance. Give Easop Winston Jr. a jersey and let him run out the field, Lumen Field on Sunday.
Chance to respond, Your Honor.
Yes.
So I'm going to say that I apologize to counsel that I did not disclose the evidence I was going to use. I'm actually doing a different player here.
Wow. So this whole trial is
I'm introducing new evidence. I hope it doesn't lead to a mistrial. But I was reading a bit more about my new client and am very intrigued by what he can bring. If you think, though, that my new client is already going to make the roster and isn't as much a bubble player, feel free to object in court.
Okay.
My client will probably make the roster at the expense of Bump's client.
Wow.
Oh.
That doesn't mean they're in the same position group. In fact, my client, I think, is in a position group where he's not necessarily needed. But that's because being a corner isn't really his main specialty. He was one of the best return specialists in college football. Elusive, speedy, and a guy that you can't help but root for because he's back there with new kick return rules, bringing just enough pop to keep us interested. You know when those guys are like about to break off for one and you know they're right on the verge of doing it? He does that while being, frankly, Your Honor, a little younger, a little speedier than someone like D. Eskridge. I'm talking about another D. I'm talking about D. Williams. Bubble player still? Yeah? You think he's making it?
No, he's not making it, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
He's not making it, Your Honor.
Let me finish my case, Your Honor. D. Williams shouldn't be making this roster. He, I know, is not adding to your wide receiver group, and I know is already in a position of depth. But when you look at one of the best opportunities you have this year, yes, it's to improve your defense. Yes, it's to do all kinds of stuff on offense. But where can teams really take advantage of a change in NFL rules? At kick return. When you're a corner, you can go out there and he can block on kick return, but he can also be a punt return specialist. So I'm just saying, he brings what Bump's client can bring, but is doing it with, he's a little younger. Your Honor, could you just rule in my favor? Come on. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job.
This client isn't even the best kick return on the squad right now. That's Laviska Shenault.
Well, we know Laviska's making the roster, Your Honor.
Great returners out there. You need a blocker.
More
you need
returners, the better.
someone to block for Laviska because he has held this spot down.
I find it a little interesting that a former punt return, kick return specialist is against having more kick return specialists on the roster.
Yes, I am against it.
As the judge and jury, I mean, we don't really have a jury. I've returned with a verdict, and after hearing both sides, now I don't think I was going to rule in Bump's favor, but the defense did not present a good enough case for D. Williams, so I am going to rule in favor of one Michael Bumpus.
You hate Washington.
Wisdom.
That's what this is.
Easop Winston. Yeah, that too, and D. Williams just didn't get enough of him. He's 2/3 of Billy D. Williams, so just not enough.
Dang it. Yeah, I knew I was losing that case. I'd like to apologize profusely to D. Williams.
If you had presented a stronger case for your client, maybe it could have worked out in your favor.
I ran out of evidence after, but he can return the ball too. it was more entertaining than doing an offensive lineman. I was like, I don't know if I can make the case.
I thought you were going to go with Kobe Bryant.
Oh, but I think Kobe's making it.
Yeah, he'll make it.
Yeah, I think Kobe's making it. So I thought that was a little too
Stacey, I'm surprised you didn't get even more into the lawyer character. You seem like you're big into a procedural drama.
Yes.
And playing the Mariska Hargitay role.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
She's a detective. But
sure.
I'm going to get to 4 down territory now.
This is 4 down territory. Going inside the game. What former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, local legend Myles Gaskin has been let go by the Vikings. What teams could use his services?
Myles Gaskin, man, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons with the Miami Dolphins, and then he got cut and went to the Rams and finished with the Minnesota Vikings last year. He's looking for a home, and I think that he's going to fall into the trend of this where teams have really 2 or 3 running backs that they can rely on. And the places I'm looking at, one are the Las Vegas Raiders. You got Madison over there, who we played with for a little bit, or played with Minnesota. Then you have Zamir White. There's not much over there with the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he can be a nice little 1, 2, maybe 3 combo over there. Over the years with the Minnesota Vikings, he rushed for 1,300 yards and had over 600 yards receiving. So my man is more than capable of getting it done. So I'm looking at Myles Gaskin. I think he's a player that still has some gas left in the tank, and he can help a team out. The other team, the Cleveland Browns. You got Jerome Ford over there, who is your starter, doesn't have many carries. You have Pierre Strong, who is questionable. You got Foreman, who is questionable. You have Nick Chubb, who is out as well. Bring Myles Gaskin in and let him do his thing. The local legend here in Washington should still be in this league, and I think he will.
Second down. What play did the 2s and 3s run on Saturday that you're excited to see Geno's and the starters run? Yeah, man, I love this. They came out in 11 personnel. You have 2 receivers to the left of Sam Howell. Then you have your tight end that's detached from the line of scrimmage, but he's in a 2-point stance. You got Sam Howell in the backfield with, I believe, Kenny McIntosh to the left of him. What they're going to sell is a power look. That left guard is going to pull and kick out the end. Everyone's going to block down to the right. That tight end's going to secure the backside. What Sam Howell's going to do, he's going to have a nice mesh point in front of him. He's going to fake the handoff and then boot to the left. The Hawks are going to show this gap scheme run. They are going to run the football with this same look. So now after he has a play fake, he's rolling to the left. The number 1 receiver, the furthest to the outside, is going to run a hitch. You got D. Eskridge in this situation. Number 2 is going to run a corner. Then the backside receiver, who is Cody White, is going to work all the way across the field in a deep cross. The influence this play had on the defense during the preseason last week against the Cleveland Browns was crazy. And the reason why, because Kenny McIntosh has been a real threat back there. Now imagine when Ken Walker, when Zach Charbonnet is back there, you got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN out there. The influence is going to be crazy. So this isn't like an innovative play, but I saw this and they were able to execute the 2s and the 3s. Can't wait until the 1s and the 2s get it done. Third down. I'm so excited for this one. I love mess, and this feels messy. Every now and then you hop on X and you have time to go back and forth with followers. One has your attention. Yeah, I had time yesterday. Yeah, you did. Every now and then I just lock in and say, okay, we're doing this. Let's go ahead and do it. And there was a, and if you're listening, and big ups, you made the show. There's a follower that questioned Mike McDonald playing his starters in the preseason because Uchenna Nwosu got hurt. And my response was like, well, the best player in the game played about 4 to 6 quarters during this preseason. You see ballers out there during the preseason, and these are guys who are established and the coaches already know their roles on this team. Why would you question a first-year head coach putting his guys out there? He wants to see what this defense looks like with them out there. And there's something to be said about building that chemistry and that cohesiveness and that focus by getting your starters out there. It's a risk. Football's a risk in general. Now, there's some situations where guys don't play. Aaron Rodgers didn't play a single snap. Good for him. Sauce Gardner did. Breece Hall did. This is the follower I was going back and forth with question it as if this isn't a common practice in football. Like, this doesn't happen every single year. Whenever you strap up, whether it's practice, preseason, or regular season, you take the chance of getting hurt. That's just what it is.
And for Mike McDonald to throw his starters out there, I don't second guess it at all because I wanted to see what these starters look like. He wants to see what these starters look like. It's all about evaluation, and some people just don't understand that. Hindsight is 20/20. Of course, if you don't play with Uchenna Nwosu, he doesn't get hurt. Of course you don't. But if you don't play him with Boye Mafe, with Dodson back there, with Spoon, with Reek on the other side, you don't get a true idea of what this defense can look like. And I think the fans also deserve to have a glimpse of what this defense can look like. So, yeah, and then this guy was like, well, you guys don't challenge Mike McDonald. Why would I challenge him in his philosophy and what he's doing to prepare this team for the season? If you know football, you know that guys get hurt every single game. They get hurt every single game. You don't even realize it. There's guys on the sideline that are bruised up and hurt or whatnot. It's the nature of the game. I'm not questioning Mike McDonald and his decision to play these starters out there. He needed to see it. Grubb needed to see that offense. He needs to see that defense. It's unfortunate that it happened, but his next guy up, and Uchenna will be fine.
Also, all due respect to Uchenna Nwosu, it's not like Mike McDonald came in and was playing Aaron Donald and we're like, what does he have to prove? Like, Uchenna is a starter that, like, I feel like could certainly would want to get snaps in real game time speed against another team before you get to week 1. That's the other thing that people don't realize is, like, if he had not played a single starter and then they hit the ground in week 1 and they're kind of really struggling against the Broncos offense, then you have the other argument where people are like, why didn't you put him out there and have them practice this? You're a new defense. You had too much confidence. Like, you lose no matter what. 4th down. What will be a defining moment, speaking of, for Coach Mike McDonald in week 1?
Defining moment will be when he decides to throw the red flag. We all know that Pete Carroll was not the greatest when it comes to challenging these plays. And sometimes it was like he just challenged it for fun. He said, I got nothing else to do. Let's go ahead and challenge this. I can't wait to see the look on his face and then the confidence in throwing the flag. Because sometimes coaches just drop the flag. Like, I'm not sure. I'm just going to drop this. We'll see what happens. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a whole bunch of other things, right? How much pressure does he put on Bo Nix on 3rd down? Does he allow Grubb to be aggressive when they're in enemy territory on a 4th down? Are you going to go for it? These little game time situations are going to be great. When do you call your timeout? When and if Bo Nix is going on a 80-yard drive and your defense is tired, are you going to use that timeout in the second half? Just the operational type things. The main thing I just want to see when he challenges, but all those other things, the timeouts, the going forward on 3rd or 4th down, the pressure, all those things are going to be great. And I think we should be excited to really evaluate how he calls again.
I also want to tack on that I'm excited to see how he throws the red flag. Like the style in which he throws the challenge flag. Because Pete had a little bit of flair. He had a little bit of sass to it. So I'm curious to see if Mike McDonald is just a standard throw the flag or if he's got a little flick of the wrist like Pete did. A little hesitation.
I'd spike it, throw it so hard.
You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Justin Verlander had some interesting takes about the state of pitching today. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
It's a sprained MCL for Uchenna Nwosu, and he's expected to miss anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks.
Just talked about how important he is to particularly the run game and setting the edge, but how important he is to this team is such a shame, and that's just your worst nightmare, right?
Yeah, for you to get hurt in the final preseason game, you're right. It is every coach's fear if you are playing your starter. Some coaches don't do it, and they'll point to this is why they don't.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
3 bands, 1 stadium. Journey. Def Leppard. Summer 2024. Cheap Trick. 3 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame icons. Performing their biggest hits. Someday love will find you. September 4th, T-Mobile Park. Def Leppard. Cheap Trick. Together, now they rock the summer of 2024. September 4th, T-Mobile Park. Tickets on sale now at DefLeppardJourney2024.com.
Stress-free just got easier. Over at Subaru Puyallup, you can tailor your entire car buying experience and have that new or used car delivered to you. It's stress-free direct from Subaru Puyallup. Go visit SubaruPuyallup.com.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
In a crisis, your number one need is food, because when things go sideways, it's always one of the first things to sell out. But if you wait to stock up, all you'll find at the grocery store are crowds of desperate people and empty shelves. That's why FEMA and the Red Cross say you need at least 72 hours of non-perishable food. But here's the good news. For Patriots, the trusted preparedness company, is offering listeners of this station a special buy one, get two free deal on its best-selling 72-hour survival food kits. This new and improved kit has 20 servings of delicious food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all designed to last for 25 years. It sells for $29 and has been rated 4.4 stars by thousands of happy customers. But when you act quickly and buy one kit, you will get 2 more kits absolutely free. That's 3 kits for the price of one. $58 in free food. Go to freefood1.com. That's freefood1.com. This deal won't last. Go to freefood1.com now.
We are Seattle Sports.
Swing and a miss, struck him out, matching a career best. 10 strikeouts for Bryce Miller.
The home of the Mariners.
Hey, college students, want to save more on groceries? Every dollar counts, so my friends at Safeway are helping by giving all university, community, and technical college students an extra 5% savings every day. It's called Safeway for You. Sign up is free and easy. Safeway for You members get extra savings with perks, points, and free products. For all the details and terms, visit Safeway.com/FOR and the letter U. That's Safeway.com/for-you.
Seattle is home to Swedish CyberKnife, a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. Compared with other radiation treatments, CyberKnife treatment is much shorter, typically 5 treatments. The vast majority of patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. Swedish CyberKnife patients enjoy excellent cancer control rates and minimal disruption to normal activities. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
See and hear, Bump, that your client in our last segment where we were arguing for people to make the roster, Aesop Winston Jr., not making the roster.
Says who?
Says Ian Rappaport.
Objection. Objection.
Or Tom Pelissero, excuse me.
My
Tom Pelissero.
I mean,
man.
that's pretty official.
It sounds
I tried,
official.
Esab. I tried, baby. Go Cougs, man. You'll get picked up somewhere.
I hope he
You'll
does.
get picked up somewhere.
That's the other thing. I'm saying this in a lighthearted way, but for all of these guys, they have worked so hard to earn these spots. And, can I just say I have a lot of pet peeves, actually. One of them is when people take a free right when you're waiting at an intersection and traffic's backed up so you can't go forward, but the person turning right takes your spot. That's one of my pet peeves.
Yeah.
Another one is when anyone calls guys that are on the back end of a roster, like not good, or like, oh, that guy's a bum, or like, who cares about that guy, or like, the people who make it to a practice squad are in like the 0.1% of total college football talent. So you don't realize how hard it is to make these rosters. Every single one of these guys aren't your friend Grady, who goes to the gym and is really good on your flag football team. They would dominate you guys. And this is how hard it is to make these rosters. So your heart just breaks knowing someone can be that talented and then sometimes without a place to showcase that talent. So anyways, just shout out to all these guys today.
Big ups.
The guys that don't make the roster, still incredibly talented people trying to do what they do best and chase that dream. All right, taking a look at the timeline. Top stories dominating your own timeline. In a cruel twist, our first story here, Comcast is currently not carrying the Big Ten network in the league's new West Coast markets. The Huskies' first 2 games of the season are against Weber State and Eastern Michigan, so they're going to be carried by the Big Ten network. Once again, the Huskies finding themselves in a media rights situation where Comcast is not carrying those games.
Yeah, that's it's really unfortunate, Huskies. You left for about $50 million a year you're going to get out of your TV deal. And it was like, it's less than what everyone else is getting. I think everyone else is getting like 60 or 70 or something like that. But it's crazy how the universe works, man. But they're going to be fine. I mean, they'll figure something out. I'm not. It's a small victory for us, us little schools, Washington State and Oregon State, who are left behind. We can laugh at it, but they'll be fine in the long run.
Next up, Justin Verlander had some interesting takes about the state of pitching in today's game while getting interviewed on Sunday Night Baseball. This is what he had to say about the 6-inning proposal.
I saw some of the proposals that were out there. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, quite frankly. Teaching the current state of the game, we talk a lot about feel. The feel has kind of gone out of the game more recently. Coaches don't talk about it. They talk about how nasty your stuff is, how much you're spinning it, how fast you're throwing it. They don't talk about setting guys up, locating, feeling, stuff like that. If we start dictating pitchers, starting pitchers in particular, getting deeper in games, I think those conversations will start to come back. And I don't think you want to lose that in this game. It's too important. I don't think guys want to see every pitcher go out there and throw 2 or 3 innings and get yanked. Pitchers are players too. We have names on our back, and I think fans like to cheer for us. And you get those marquee matchups that are fun. You think back in the day, you got David Cohn and Randy Johnson. Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson. It's just those things haven't been around so much anymore.
I will say Justin Verlander as an older pitcher. Now, what is he? 40-ish, around 40. As an older pitcher, has an interesting perspective as kind of in between 2 generations.
Yeah. He does. He's like the football player who made it through. I can light you up any way I want to now I have to hit you in a foot target in between at your torso. Here's what's interesting. When a person or a pitcher like Verlander speaks, you listen. He's been around the game for a long time. He's one of the best to ever do it. So I respect his opinion. The only thing I don't like the league telling managers how to strategize. I understand wanting to see your starter out there for X amount of innings. He says pitchers are players too. They want to see these guys compete. I understand that. The worst thing in the world would be having your guy go out for a couple of innings and you're just going to pull him for no apparent reason. I get that. The entertainment value is going to be lost right there. I would love to see pitchers stay out there as long as possible. There are times where when our young guy's been pulled, I go, he's only like 60, 70 pitches in. Like, let him go eat. But there's a reason and there's a strategy that is behind that. And I don't like, the managers already don't have a lot of say in what's going on. I don't like taking even more power off of the manager and saying he has to be in there for 6 innings. What if his stuff just ain't working today? It's like we're asking these professional players to be treated like it's youth sports where a kid has to play 14 games. They're not 11, 12 anymore. These are grown men with strategies and data that supports what they're doing. I say all that to say I'm good either way.
Yeah.
You know, if they do put 6 innings on it, so be it. I'm going to see Verlander for 6 innings, hopefully not against the Mariners. If they don't, then okay, the managers are able to strategize. It doesn't affect me in the way I'm going to view the game, but I do think of the manager in this situation and be like, dang, taking more power away from this dude. He already got to listen to the guys upstairs.
All of these cuts are related cuts, but it's just really interesting. Here's Justin Verlander talking about pitching philosophy early in his career compared to today.
It was about getting outs. You know, it was about pitching to contact. You know, obviously you would go for the strikeout when you needed it, but you know, it's changed quite a bit. Look, I mean, the analytics point, it's going to be hard to put that genie back in the bottom. I don't know if you can. That's why rules might need to be changed. But the harder you throw, the more you spin it, the more your breaking ball moves, the harder it is to hit. That's pretty black and white. But you know, there is a feel that comes to setting guys up, getting guys out without showing them your best plan. All the stuff that we used to talk about, I don't feel like too many people talk about that stuff anymore. And like I said, it's important. In the second that guys start not looking to come out of the game after they're in their third time through the lineup and, you know, the guy in the bullpen's ready, then you have to start figuring out how to get guys out 3 or 4 times, and that's when the thought process starts to change.
My only thing about Justin Verlander, I don't think it makes him hypocritical. I think he's just being observant of how the game has changed and why the game looks like what it does and why offenses have regressed the way that they have as a direct result of the way that pitching is. That's also the kind of dominant pitcher he is. He's not Marco Gonzalez, who's like, I go for flyouts. I use a changeup. I use lots of off-speed stuff. Like, he does look at speed and velo and like, he's dominant. So he's one of those pitchers that have, in effect, and Jacob deGrom, like all these guys have, in effect, started to change the game.
Yeah,
not started to, but have changed.
I think essentially he's saying the philosophy has changed. I used to be able to just, whatever it took to get this guy out, I'm going to get him out. Whereas now, because they're looking to do it in certain ways, I think it opens the door for more pitchers to have success or have the opportunity to have success. It's almost like he's saying you're watering it down a bit. To whereas back in the day, he used to be like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this guy out. Old school mentality, I'm with that. Now, me and Verlander are almost the same age. I'm completely with him when it comes to that. But I also don't like to limit the way that guys are expected to execute. You know, that's what's so weird about this is you want the game to take the identity of whatever the times is, whatever the times are. It's 2024. You got all this data. You have different leadership when it comes to GMs, different philosophies and ways of looking at it. And I don't want to take away the creativity of that whole process because with that, you'll get a star or a few stars out of this process. Out of the Verlander process, you got a whole bunch of stars as well. So I'm having a midlife crisis when it comes to this stuff because I appreciate the data and the way they're doing it now, but I also like the old school way. I think that everything goes in waves, and eventually I think it'll go back to the old school way. Just like my kids are wearing baggy jeans now. I go, we did that 20 years ago. Now they're back. I think eventually baseball, it'll come back around to
I
old
love
school.
that trends change for men's and women's clothing too, because it used to be where like for women you only had skinny jeans and now you can wear baggy clothes. But then I see people who don't quite understand that and they'll be like, you know, oh, you guys are wearing loose clothing. And it's like, no. It's just that you're dated.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Women, y'all style changes the most, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
I'm okay with these trends right now, but it's going to change. Last story here, quick one. The Washington Commanders have named their stadium Northwest Stadium, which should really help everyone that confuses D.C. with Washington State. Congratulations. I was thinking that it's Northwest, what's that, like insurance or financial company?
Financial.
Yeah. So that's their new naming rights, but instead of like Northwest Financial, it's just Northwest Stadium.
You're making this harder than it has to be.
That is a real thing. I had a professor in college who was an Italian professor from Italy, took a job at Washington, and he just told us this in class. Like he seemed like he hated his job. Took a class teaching a course at Washington because he thought it was in Washington, D.C. Now, why you didn't Google...
was he in for a rude awakening?
Yeah.
Did he get on the plane and was like, hold on, we're going in the wrong direction.
Like
this is
I
taking
think it
too
was
long.
like, I didn't really follow up, but like, I'm betting it was he got really excited, started pursuing the interviews, accepted the job, and then realized, but then it was like, well, I have this job now, so I'm going to go here. But this happens to real people, so... making it worse. Best Seahawks player at every position is coming your way next. Today, we are looking at a very controversial one, wide receiver, coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Dan Wilson's the new skipper. What kind of manager do you want to be?
Having a good relationship with the clubhouse is huge and really help to support the players. And, we want to be in it with them on a daily basis. In some ways, too, it's about getting out of the way. I mean, these guys are good players. These guys are the best players in the world at what they do. And so it's giving them what they need, but then allowing them the space and the creativity and the individuality to go out and do their job. The baseball season is a grind. There's no question. You have to ride that balance.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Chill or grill on a new deck this season. Get a free Makita Bluetooth radio or portable pellet grill with a qualifying PAR deck package purchase. But hurry, offer ends soon. Visit par.com for details. PAR, your total home building source. Go where the builders go.
Want to listen to Seattle Sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle Sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic collector car, truck, and boat auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Gates open at 9 a.m., auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
Hey, Brock Heward here, and I have had my share of sports injuries, and I know a little bit about pain. Well, that's what football will do to you from head to toe. But you don't have to play professional sports to know what I'm talking about. Painful joints from arthritis can affect anyone and make it hard to do pretty much anything. Well, that's where my friend, Dr. Daniel Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine comes into play. He has seen so many patients through the years suffering from chronic joint pain caused by arthritis. So don't let pain stop you from your quality of life. Don't let pain stop you from enjoying life. Consider Dr. Nelson the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. That's right, your own stem cells and platelet-rich plasma to harness your own body's healing potential. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence dyne test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Hey, Bob Stelton here, and have you heard that metal roofs are all the rage? A metal roof lasts longer, it's more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
We are Seattle Sports.
Toss the first in time to get low, and the ball game is over. The Mariners win it.
The home of the Mariners.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics, just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible. It's happening. Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Love a debate about who's the best at what position when it comes to the Seahawks, and we're looking at franchise history. I was going to save this conversation for a little bit later as we inch closer to the season, but why not have it today? The best Seahawks player at every position. We have talked about running back. We've talked about tight end. We've talked about quarterback. We've looked at safeties. That one was really tough. Today, we are looking at wide receiver. You can send your answer into the Mac and Jacks text line, 866-979-3776. And Bump, normally I throw to you to have your answer. I'm just going to tell you right now, I already know that like every single text is going to say Steve Largent. He's got the numbers to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be possible in any way to make the case for someone else? That's what I really want to know.
Steve Largent has 13,089 yards, 100 touchdowns. Next is Tyler Lockett with 7,900 yards and 59 touchdowns. Steve Largent is considered one of the best receivers in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Canton. He's got his little statue over there in Canton. My man is a legend. You look at the top 10 receivers of all time in Seahawks history. Corn Robinson at 10, played with him. John Williams, Joey Galloway, OG Bobby Ingram at 7. DK is at 6. Darrell Jackson is 5. Doug Baldwin 4. Brian Blaze 3. Tyler Lockett 2. And you look at the numbers that these guys put up in their career, and they ain't touching Steve Largent. They are not. No. Funny story about Steve Largent. I met him when I was in college. He came to Washington State and spoke to us, and it was awesome. That was my introduction to like the Northwest when it comes to the legends. And there was a kid on my team named Andy Largent. Andy owns all the Flat-Stick pubs that you see in the state of Washington to this day. For 10 years, I thought that was his uncle. For 10 years.
I thought right now.
Not related at all.
Oh, no.
Not related at all. And I used to talk about how I used to play with Steve Largent's nephew. Not related at all. So that was my introduction to Steve Largent. Andy Largent, big ups to Flat-Stick Pub. That's the only place you can go, Stacy. 100 touchdowns. The closest to him when it comes to 100 touchdowns is Tyler Lockett with 59, Doug Baldwin 49, and then Darrell Jackson at 47. Tyler Lockett is not going to touch 100 touchdowns. If there's anyone who could catch him in yards, I'm looking at DK Metcalf and saying he has to go nuts in the next few years. Steve Largent also played 200 games with his organization from 1976 to 89, 13, 14 years. Guys don't play at one organization like that anymore. They bounce around. They get more money. They're younger guys coming in at the receiver position. I think because receivers are capable of playing so early now and contributing for a good 4 to 5 years, then you get your bag and move on. I don't think anyone's touching this, man. If it ain't Steve Largent, I think you're absolutely nuts.
Well, and he played with we argued yesterday that Russell Wilson was the best quarterback in Seahawks history. Certainly the most prolific, most 4,000-yard seasons, most passing yards in a career, whereas Largent obviously did not play, not just in that brand of football, but did not play with that quarterback. Played primarily with Craig and I think Zorn. My answer in a boring way would be Steve Largent, but I'm going to spice it up a little bit and add 2 names from the Mac and Jacks text line. Surprisingly, the most popular name is Baldwin. Doug Baldwin, obviously.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look at it because Doug Baldwin exceeded so many expectations. I mean, no one was entering training camp when Doug Baldwin entered as an undrafted rookie out of Stanford going, this guy is going to be the best wide receiver on this team in a couple years. Like, watch out. And then he did that, and so that kind of adds a clout and adds a level to your story. I'm also going to throw in one more name.
Who that?
I think there's some fatigue around this guy. And in a way, I understand why. But I also think that fatigue is making us overlook the raw talent he has. You can guess what I'm going to say. DK Metcalf.
DK. Yeah, I think
you talked about him a bit already. But
there's no other receiver on this list. I'm looking at the list of all the receivers who have played in this organization, and it goes down to 262. And your boy shows up around 123. Holla at your boy. No, there's no receiver like him. Now, if I'm going with the most skilled receiver, I'm going Doug Baldwin.
Yes.
Doug Baldwin can run any route that you want him to run. You could press him. He's going to mix you up. You can play soft coverage. He's going to move you. He is the most skilled receiver, I think, to ever play in this organization. I go with him. But, I mean, Large's numbers are just ridiculous. He did it at a time when they weren't throwing the football like they are now.
Yes.
70s to the late 80s, it's ridiculous, man. So it's hard to go. But if we're looking for the most physically dominant, is DK. If we're going for the most skilled receiver, I'm going Doug Baldwin. If I'm talking like the savviest receiver, at least from what I can remember, was Bobby Ingram. He would create his own routes and get to the spot he was supposed to be, and Matt Houseback would hit him. There are a whole bunch of different kind of receivers, but all-time great, it's Mr. Largent, not related to Angie Largent.
Not related to Andy. 509, Joey Galloway was up there in terms of pure talent.
Yeah.
Because that's an intriguing one. It's kind of like when we had our running back conversation, we were comparing what someone looks like versus the number someone has. Now, I encourage everyone to go back and look at Sean Alexander highlights because everyone, you could do anything behind this offensive line. Y'all, he was breaking tackles downfield.
Yeah, he was.
This man had burners. But I digress. One of the conversations we had that a texter sent in was, okay, you're at the 1 yard line. Do you hand it to Sean Alexander or do you hand it to Marshawn? And we were kind of split on that one because when you talk about best all time, it's hard not to look at numbers and accomplishments. To challenge yourself in terms of who you'd want sometimes produces a different answer.
Yeah.
So if you had a game and you get to pick your ideal quarterback and your ideal situation, everything else you get to choose, are you picking Largent or are you picking DK or are you picking Doug?
Well, thankfully, in my offense, we have 4 receivers on the field at one time.
Yeah, you doing trips.
So I'm going Largent, Baldwin, DK, Galloway.
Solid group.
Solid group.
Solid group. There's been some good wide receivers to come through. Obviously, Jerry Rice, Seahawk legend.
Do y'all really claim Jerry?
No.
It's like a joke, right?
It's a joke.
Okay.
Running joke. Jerry Rice, Snacks Harrison.
Snacks.
Oh, God, Curtis.
Edwin James.
Yeah.
Claim Edwin James.
Who was the returner?
Dwight Freeney.
Devin Hester, all-time great Seahawk.
Yeah.
Just going to continue to claim people. All right. Well, we may be getting some roster updates here pretty soon. We're going to check back in around 12:15. Don't worry. We'll get you covered before that. We're going to bring on Jim Bowden, who's got some things to say about this Mariners roster. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
As we sit right now, when we always have this conversation throughout the season, who's the ace? Who's the best pitcher? It's clear. Brian Wu is your best pitcher right now as we sit.
It's incredible.
That's your 5th starter.
I mean, we used to have this conversation. It was like between the first 3, it would be, okay, Castillo, okay, it's Logan and George. But now all of a sudden you're number 5 in the rotation. Just incredible. You just throw strikes. Real simple.
He's been amazing.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I was having trouble getting up and down my stairs at home. I thought, well, this isn't going to work because how am I going to go to Utah and do some hiking?
When Judy came to Sound Pain Solutions, her knee pain was preventing her from enjoying an active lifestyle. She was diagnosed with osteoarthritis. She tried numerous treatments and was told she should have surgery. I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Judy back to hiking with our comprehensive, non-surgical, and drug-free treatment.
I think that the Trigenics that they do along with the adjustment, the pressure wave, and the PRP are the best options for joint pain. And I would really recommend it to anybody who is suffering from joint pain and would like to avoid surgery.
Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our safe, drug-free, non-surgical treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
So what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video Only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best TVs,
then we should take our TV ratings and head over to top-rated Video Only.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma, Video Only.
You know, someone asked me the other day, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? Well, it's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own, and it is more than a dozen, all to keep me connected to the good stuff. My streaming, my gaming, all my interneting, you name it. And Xfinity knows that the number of devices we have connected to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds, for real. And now through September 21st, you can get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
You know, being out of camp this time of year, you get to see some absolute physical specimens. Guys that have trained all summer to be in the best shape of their life. Now, most of us don't have that kind of time, energy, resources, or genetics to look like some of those guys, but we can certainly look our very best with a little help from Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. It's Mike Salk here, and I used that program last year to lose 35 pounds. That's right, lost 35 pounds, and it only took me 8 weeks to do it. Guess what? It wasn't that hard. It wasn't that painful either. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic devised a plan that was right for me. I ate real food that you buy at the grocery store. I lost weight and I looked and felt my very best. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss. So schedule a free, no obligation consultation right now by going to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Just see if it's right for you. 425-588-0080 is the number, or eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Again, 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Right there, look it up, and he's going to get out of here! A 3-run homer right near Rosarena against this former team.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
In the NFL, it's roster cutdown day. All teams must submit their final 53-man roster by 1 p.m. Pacific time. Among the names reportedly cut, Tom Pelissero reporting Aesop Winston Jr. not making it. Jordan Schultz reporting that D. Eskridge also among cuts. The Mariners beat the Rays yesterday thanks to a 3-run home run from Randy Arozarena. The Phillies walked off the Astros. That means your Seattle Mariners are now just 3.5 games back.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Mariners now 3.5 games back at the Astros, but do they have what it takes to finish the season strong? Let's bring on the Athletic and MLB Network Radio's Jim Bowden on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Jim, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Really happy to have you here. So much to cover. I appreciate your time. We're not even going to be able to fit in all of our questions here, but I'm obviously going to start with the biggest news about this team, Jim, and that is the firing of Scott Service. The team hired Dan Wilson, not as interim, but as the permanent manager. When you look at maybe where Service ranks in terms of responsibility for some of this team's failures, can you in today's MLB look at the manager that way, or do you kind of see it as just a change in voice being needed?
Well, look, I don't think there's any doubt when the team underachieves like the Mariners have that, there's a lot of blame to go around in a lot of different places, right? I mean, this is a lineup that strikes out more than any other team in the American League. Yet at the same time, most of the players are underachieving from their custom level that you would expect those players to achieve. So, look, there's a lot of blame to go around, but here's the bottom line. After they had that 1-8 road trip, it was a 500 team with the best starting rotation in the league. Mm-hmm. And that's just not acceptable. And, if you're the president or GM of the team, you're not going to fire 26 players. In fact, you can't trade them in August. And so, you changed hitting coaches now 3 times. There really was no choice except let's change the leadership and see if we can't get a different approach, build a different culture, bring the team together, and turn things around. And I know it was really difficult for Jerry DiPoto to make this decision. He's been a lifelong friend with Scott Service, and that is difficult. And they had a 9-year run together in Seattle. That's a long time. But one playoff appearance in 9 years isn't getting it done. And the way the team was playing, Jerry had no choice. He had to do this, and he had to be able to show, in my belief, that this team is better than how it's performed. And I love the hiring of Dan Wilson. When I was with the Cincinnati Reds, we drafted him in the first round. When I was the GM of the Reds, I traded him for Brett Boone and Eric Hansen. I've always had great respect for him. His ability to call a game, his ability to lead is special. And I think it's a phenomenal hiring. You saw the hiring of Stephen Vogt last offseason with the Guardians. That's worked out really well. And so I think Dan's the right guy to lead this team. And I think the best under-the-radar move that was made was Edgar Martinez agreeing to go down into the dugout for at least the rest of this year as hitting coach, because we all know he knows as much about hitting as anybody in this sport. Right. And his approach is his approach as a hitter is exactly the opposite of what this team does. So I just feel like it was a move that had to be made. And so far it looks so good, right? They won the first series with Dan. We'll see how it goes down the road. But I think it was a decision Jerry had to make.
Jim, you mentioned leadership, and I think it's important, obviously, in every organization. What's the difference between the way Dan will lead this team and the way that Service led this team?
Well, time will tell. I can't answer that question. I'm not in that clubhouse, and I'm not privy to the meeting that Dan is having with the players, nor the discussions that are taking place. But, look, I was a big league GM for 16 years, and the last thing I wanted to do was to make in-season managerial changes. I did it a couple of times. Other GMs like Brian Cashman of the Yankees has never done it. But the one thing I always thought of during my 16 years, if you're going to make a managerial change in the middle of the season, then you have to have the strong belief that your team is going to be better after that change is made, that a different voice, a different style may spark the team. Because if it doesn't spark the team, then it's on you. It's on the person making the decision to make the change, right? So, we're going to find out if this was the right decision or not. I just think in theory, this team was going nowhere under Scott Service. And when you have a pitching staff that literally can win the World Series if you make the playoffs, it's an absolute shame if you don't get there. So, again, I think Dan will work out extremely well. I think he's well respected by the players, and I think this team needs a different voice, a new voice, and a different approach, and they've got that.
Hey, Jim, Jerry DiPoto spoke with Ken Rosenthal and said, I'm especially disappointed because I felt like we built one of the best rosters we've had here, which was, interesting because they entered the offseason with, I think, maybe less to spend than they thought. That was at least one of the original reports. When you look at the roster that Jerry constructed kind of from afar, do you see a roster that, just underperformed but could have been great? Or do you see a roster that by virtue of having the payroll it did, just had a smaller margin for error?
A smaller margin for error. I don't think this is the perfect lineup. I don't like the offense of this team. I didn't like it in December. And I thought ownership and Jerry would step up and do more to improve the offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think they philosophically knew what they wanted to do, which was reduce the strikeouts, even if it was at the price of home runs, which they did in letting Teoscar Hernandez leave and trading Eugenio Suarez to Arizona. But they didn't accomplish what they were trying to accomplish. This team strikes out too much. Contrast it with the Kansas City Royals. And the one thing those two teams have in common, they both have 4 starters in their rotation that have ERAs 3.5 or under, right? Both of them. But Kansas City has a much better record because they don't strike out. They strike out the least in any American League team. And they have the stars in the middle lineup in Witt and Perez and Pasquantino. But the rest of the lineup, is similar to Seattle in terms of quality, but less strikeouts and more being able to move the runners and get the runner in from third base with less than 2 outs. And that's been a big difference. So, look, I think Seattle intended to improve that aspect of the lineup, but did not.
Yeah.
And I think you combine that with Julio Rodriguez doing very little, struggling with secondary pitches the entire season. That's their star player that they need to go off. Ty France never got going as a hitter and ended up getting dumped. J.P. Crawford didn't live up to the expectations everybody had for him. So, Jorge Polanco is brought over, and he doesn't live up to what he had been doing in Minnesota. Some of that's underachieving, and some of that is the lineup just isn't good enough. But the exciting news is the pitching's good enough to go all the way. So, look, we'll see how much a managerial and coaching change will make for the rest of the year. And then the offseason, it's going to be an easy fix of improving this offense. It doesn't have to mean going out and getting Juan Soto or Anthony Santander or Pete Alonso, but it does mean creating an offense that can produce runs by putting the ball in play and being more athletic.
Jim, you said you think it's going to be an easy fix to fix this offense. When you say that, what moves do you think will make this an easy fix? 'Cause I think that the fans here are kind of reluctant to buy into that because of the fixes that have been made over the last few years that were supposed to fix this offense but hasn't. And the fear is that the process that they go through to bring these bats in, or the type of bats that they bring in, just isn't working anymore. Do you think there's going to be a change in philosophy? Is that why you think it's an easy fix?
Yeah, I think it has to be. I think Jerry has to look at the fact that whether it be professional scouting, the analytic department, or maybe the weight that is put on each is not working. And so you better figure out why, and you better fix it. Look, it's not that hard. It's 2024. We all see what the problems are and what the issues are, and we're seeing how offenses succeed in this game, and you got to look at your own lineup and go, okay, this is why we're not scoring enough runs. And we need to change the way we build the lineup. We have to change the way we evaluate players so that we don't keep making the same mistake when we have a window like we have with this pitching staff. And so easy fix, sure. It's philosophical, but more importantly, it's targeting guys that let's get the ball in play. Let's get 2 or 3 guys with power in the middle, but let's have athletes and let's have contact. And with that, you'll have the runs, and with that, you'll have a contending team with the best teams in the West.
Is there a team around the league, Jim, where when you look at how they've constructed their offense, you just think, God, I love the way that they put this group together?
Well, of course I'm going to say the Dodgers.
I knew you were going to do it.
3 Hall of Famers at the top, and
Ohtani doesn't hurt
throughout the lineup, and those obviously Philadelphia Philly is another team. up and down the lineup, and well-balanced teams too, right? Both the Dodgers and Phillies have defense and speed and power and hitters and leaders and winners. It's not just about the hit tool, not just about reducing strikeouts. It's about having the right people, because you win with people. You don't win with players. You win with human beings. You walk into the Yankee clubhouse and there's Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Forget the talent that they have. Understand the influence they're going to have on Jazz Chisholm and Anthony Volpe and how quickly they can develop to the next level because they're leading the team. I think J-Rod can be that. I don't know why he struggled so much. Every time I watch, he's pulling off the ball. He's not concentrating on hitting the slider down the way to right field for whatever reason and using the whole field. But I think Edgar Martinez will help him significantly in September.
Obviously, and you've mentioned it, the pitching staff here is crazy, right? They're the thing that gives us hope when it comes to watching these Mariners. How likely or how willing would you be if you were making the moves to deal one of these guys to go ahead and get a powerful bat?
Yeah, I would trade one. I mean, look, you hate to give it up. I get it. But you're sitting there with 5 of them. I'm okay with trading one of them. I'm okay with trading my top prospects. I'm okay with pulling an A.J. Preller, right? I would not be afraid to do that. I think you have to do that. Look, I know you want to keep them all. I get it. You can keep them all if you can win. And if you can't win, then you've got to go about things a different way. So, yeah, I think it's okay in the offseason if you're going to trade one of the starters. It's going to hurt. You don't want to. But if you get the right hitter and the right bat, build around J-Rod, get 2 more hitters around J-Rod, and then fill the rest of the lineup up with contact athletes and defense, and you'll be there next year. So, and by the way, the owner's got to go spend a little bit more money this offseason than he did last year. I know he was worried about the streaming rights and television, et cetera. The one thing an owner has to understand when you're in a situation like this is your window to literally win a World Series is not going to last forever. It's going to be 2 or 3 years, whatever that small window is. And those are the years you have to overspend, and then you make up for that in the following 3 years when you can't do it anymore, right? So just to put even numbers there, let's just say you can afford a $120 million payroll. It's okay to spend $150 for 2 years while you have this pitching staff, and then if you have to go down to $80 million the next 2 years to make your bottom line work as an owner, that's okay. That's fine during a rebuilding phase. Yeah, we'll make the numbers work then. But there are times that you have to put winning over the bottom line. I know growing up in the Reds organization, I remember walking down to Marge Schott once in 1990 when we needed money to get Glenn Braggs and Billy Doran down the stretch. We couldn't afford it. She let us do it, won a world championship. I remember in 1995, I went to her and I said, I need a starting pitcher or we're not going to win, but if we do, I guarantee the playoffs. And went and got David Wells, Mark Portugal, and Dave Berber within 10 days. And we went up to the NLCS and missed the World Series by 4 games. There are certain times where an owner has to step up and say, okay, we're going to go over budget. We're going to make that move. We're going to push this team over the top because I believe in this team and I believe in the front office and I believe in the field manager. And there are times that has to happen. Seattle's offseason, the owner's got to do that this year.
I was going to say, it's such a good point, Jim. I promise we're already seeing it, but the text line is going to be like, yes, Jim's exactly right. But I can kind of continuing along this line, you talked about like your World Series window might only be 2 years. And I think what the Mariners have run into is the original plan just didn't work. Like if you were going to, in their mind, draft up a dream plan, it would be, well, let's draft and develop or sign as much young talent as we can, kind of keep it cheap and all win at the same time. And what they have right now is their best hitting prospects are like high a couple years away, and their pitching is right now. So do you think sometimes GMs, the people responsible for building these teams run into these windows where you have two sides that just aren't meeting? You know what I mean? Like you kind of have to bridge it somehow with free agency.
Yeah, I totally get your point, but I think what is unique is when you have a rotation like the Mariners have and the rotation like the Phillies have. You just have to go for it when you have that because you know in October what you can do. And champagne on November 1st tastes so much better than any other time. It just does, even if it's Dom. And so that's kind of how I feel like you have to look at it a little bit differently. And as I said, okay, maybe the owner has to go sign Anthony Santander to hit in the middle of the lineup. Maybe Jerry has to trade those 2 prized prospects in A-ball and one of his prize starters to be able to get the 3 bats to turn this thing around. But it's worth it when you have a chance to legitimately win, because it's not about building when you're this close.
Right.
It's about closing.
That's a really good point. He is the Athletic and MLB Network Radio's Jim Bowden. Jim, we so appreciate your time. You've been very gracious with it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Really good stuff from Jim Bowden about the importance of taking advantage of that window. And I so appreciate his final point about you can only say you're building for so long. Like, yeah, you want to come out and say, like, we're trying to sustain and we're trying to build something long term and we want to win for many years. But when you've never won, when you've never even made it to a World Series, you don't really get to hang your hat on being a sustainable kind of thing. You just got to say, look, we've built up a lot of really good pieces and now we're going to really press on the gas.
You know what was great? When I drove to Chambers the other weekend and I-5 was finished in front of Emerald Queen Casino. That thing was being built for 10 to 12 years. That's what it feels like with this Mariners team. It's like, all right, when are we going to see it? You keep saying we're building. Okay, when are we going to see it? I need that same feeling with these Mariners.
Well, that's why I kind of keep pushing back against. I'm as excited about prospects as anyone else, and I appreciate that this club's been able to build up their hitting prospects in their farm system. But those prospects are not with the Rainiers right now. Those prospects are not set to debut, in late September. They are, many of them, 2 years away. These are 2026 guys, late 2025 guys. These are not guys that can help you win a pennant now. So when people want to talk about taking advantage of these pitchers and taking advantage of the pieces you have like Julio, you're running out of time. And then you have this thing that you're worried about with injuries, a natural regression with the pitching staff. That's what so upsets me is like you may never have the season you're having right now with these arms, even if every single one of them are rostered next year, which they will be. So how do you make up for that?
And be patient, Stacey. It's cool.
God, stop. Just stop. Just go out there and make this roster better. It's going to be a very interesting offseason. All right, let's head to the station for Hype Train. Starting here with some news on roster cuts. Tom Pelissero saying that the team is cutting Aesop Winston Jr. Jordan Schultz saying that they have cut D. Eskridge. Now, that is 2 wide receivers cut from a very crowded room. Your first Hype Train here. Laviska Shenault made the roster. We don't know that yet, but...
No, we know it. It's not official, but it's official. This dude's going to... If he does not make the roster, I don't know what's going on over there in that building in VMAC. These guys are smart. They see what he's done in the return game. He caught a few screens. He got a curl he caught. I mean... He did everything they asked him to do and did it at a high level. He better be on this team. Yeah, he's good.
Laviska Shenault made the roster. That's what these cuts are telling us. We don't know that officially yet. Deadline is at 1 p.m. Bump is boarding. Curtis, are you?
Yeah, Borden. He's there. Week 1, he's returning kicks, returning punts. He's made it. Congrats to Laviska. You're hearing it here first, Laviska.
You think he's listening right now?
Absolutely.
He's a huge Bump and Stacey fan. He's like, I listen every day.
He's like, I know I'll probably hear from my coaches if I've made it later on today, but I'm tuning in just a little bit beforehand.
And like, he's honored to make Hype Train.
Yeah, he is.
I can't believe I made Hype Train. That's my favorite segment.
He's texting in. He, Laviska in the, I don't know what area code he's got. Probably like Boulder, Colorado area code, because that's where he went to college, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just saying hi. Congratulations, Laviska. We think you made it. Next up. Been a rough year for Julio, but he's managed to bounce back some. Still not 100% back from injury, but back out in center field. Julio finishes the season with 20 home runs.
20 of them things, Julio. Right now he's sitting at 11. You got, about 30 games left? Nah, I don't think he'll hit 20. He's got to get hot here pretty soon, and he has been playing well as of late, man. He hasn't just shown the pop, hasn't shown the pop. So, I would love this for him. I really would, but I don't think it's going to happen. Hasn't had a home run since, goodness gracious.
It's like July 20th?
July 20th, yeah, against the Astros.
He's so volatile as a player, and people are always like, oh, he's so inconsistent. He only has a couple hot months. But his hot months and his hot streaks are unbelievable. God mode like baseball.
Yeah.
So that's why you hang on. And I just keep kind of waiting for it to happen this year. Despite how bad it's been, I'm like, no. He couldn't possibly not have 2 weeks where he just goes off and is insane, right? That's in there. That's who he is as a player. He's streaky. And those ups, man, those peaks.
When's the last time you've seen a streak, though? It's been a while.
It's been a while. Julio finishes with 20 home runs. Curtis, you boarding?
If he hits 20 home runs, this Mariners team's making the playoffs because, as Bump pointed out, there's not a lot of time left, and he's got to get incredibly hot over that final month of the season. I don't see it happening, but I hope it does because that means it's a return to the old Julio, the Julio of 23 and 22. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it happening, but would definitely encourage it to be a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think it does either. I keep telling myself there's so much left in the season, and then I remember we're closing in on September.
Yeah.
And then I remember.
You remember pumpkin spice?
Yeah. Well, no, now I'm mad at pumpkin spice because I spilled it all over my shirt yesterday. Me and pumpkin spice are on a break.
So you're 2 for 2?
No, I was better today, but I haven't quit pumpkin spice. Who am I kidding? Gonna go to TJ Maxx later. Next up. The Mariners will be within 1.5 games will be within 1.5 games in the AL West by the end of the week.
By the end of this week, you say. Mm-hmm. So you have to finish off strong here, man. Can we just get a little sweep action going on with Tampa?
Come on.
End of the week. So then and then you got the Angels coming up. Yeah. Good vibes. We're getting it done. You're going to sweep Tampa. You're going to win 2 against the Angels. I don't think we've won a series against the Angels this year.
I don't think
so. You're going to win 2 of those games. Let's get it done. Astros continue to fall. Let's go.
The Mariners will be within 1.5 games in the AL West by the end of the week. Bump is boarding. Curtis, are you?
I think I'm boarding as well. You've got the Astros playing the remainder of their series against the Phillies. They got 2 more games going on against them. And then they've got 4 this weekend against the Royals, a Royals team that is definitely in the hunt for a playoff spot. They're also in the hunt for the American League Central title. They've been playing some really good ball as of late, too. So I think that the Astros are definitely in a very vulnerable spot considering their upcoming opponents. They have a 3-game series against Cincinnati to start off September, but then they have another series against the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have been ridiculously hot as of late, so the Astros are in a spot where they could probably lose a few here and there, and the Mariners taking full advantage of that schedule that they've got. So, yeah, I think they could very well be within 1.5 by this weekend.
Last train into the station, a controversial one from yesterday, bringing it back to wrap up the topic. Sparkling water superior to flat water. Or still water, as poor people say.
Still water? No, sparkling water, no. The original. This is why we're able to survive on this planet. It's because of the fresh, natural water.
I think cavemen would
that
like
is provided,
sparkling water.
that the glaciers provide for us. It's so fresh and so clean. They don't provide sparkling water for us. No, real water.
I think that if you gave a caveman a Perrier or a Pellegrino, his mind would be
die.
blown.
He'd die.
No, he would think it was the best thing ever.
Because
No,
he's
he
trying
would
to
die.
guzzle
He's-
it.
he's not used to that.
I think he'd like it, and then he'd smash the bottle and use it as a
No.
weapon to kill a woolly mammoth or something.
It's like if you gave a small Victorian child 1 nacho cheese Dorito, they would die. They've never experienced that level of flavor in their life.
Curtis, sparkling water is superior to flat water. Bump isn't boarding because he doesn't know what cool things are.
I've never enjoyed seeing a train go by more than this moment right now. It is not superior. You're insane if you think so. Sparkling water's gross.
I don't know why what don't you like about it? It's just a feeling. It's just a vibe. It's not
real.
even a flavor of
Yeah.
anything. It's when you drink it,
altered.
it's just kind of like a bright, fizzy little like.
I can't believe you drink
No,
that during
it's
a
not.
workout.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. Literally nothing on this planet is more refreshing than cracking open a cold, like LaCroix or cold sparkling water and taking a huge gulp. It hurts your throat so much, and
Gross.
nothing feels better. It's just so refreshing. I can't describe it. You're telling me you've never craved
Not
ever.
one moment of my life.
So you
right
just
there
drink
with them.
water.
Just
Yeah.
Regular water.
Regular water.
There is
Just-
very few things more refreshing than just a
Yes.
cold glass of
I
water.
think there's a lot of things more refreshing and frankly more interesting with more character.
A beer is more refreshing than sparkling water. Nice cold beer.
Moving on. You're listening
Also,
to
why would
Bump
you
and
have
Stacey.
carbonated drinks that have like flavor in them?
Well, no, LaCroix has like a little whisper of flavor, but plain
the
sparkling
flavor
water is
in a
also
LaCroix is like if you put a lime in another room
good. Okay,
and it whispered at
would you like flavored sparkling water? Does that change it?
No.
Okay. You're listening to Bump and Stacey on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. A surprising cut and good news for the Kelsey brothers. That's next in NFL headlines.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Saul.
Two bunts, Or not so much.
Well, we had this conversation about Leo Rivas and the bunt he laid down in the 5th inning with a man on first, etc. And we asked Dan about it yesterday. Going back and listening to it again, is that something you want to do more of?
Well, I tell you what, Leo Rivas has been tremendous for us.
He changed the subject immediately. But yeah, no, we're not going to talk about bunting in the 5th inning. Thank you to the person who texted me because you're absolutely right. Let's end this whole small ball narrative
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Seattle is home to Swedish CyberKnife, a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. Compared with other radiation treatments, CyberKnife treatment is much shorter, typically 5 treatments. The vast majority of patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. Swedish CyberKnife patients enjoy excellent cancer control rates and minimal disruption to normal activities. Go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Would you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible. It's happening. Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic Collector Car, Truck, and Boat Auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Gates open at 9 a.m. Auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
Having quality care matters. So, let's talk about it. Nobody likes not feeling their best, but it's comforting to know top local doctors are nearby when you need one. Optum Care Washington is here with exceptional primary and specialty care, from OBGYN and family medicine to urology and gastroenterology. We also accept most Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, with over 45 Puget Sound locations, Optum offers peace of mind close to school, work, and home. Discover all the ways Optum is here for you at yourhealthwa.com.
Did you know about the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program? You can get an $80 benefit card to spend at local farmers markets. Use it to buy seasonal fruits, vegetables, and honey. Just bring your new SFMNP card with you when you shop. When you make a purchase, the grower will scan your card. Then you'll confirm the purchase with your PIN.
You're all set. Enjoy those tomatoes.
Thank you, I will. Find participating markets, local contacts, and more info at seniorfmnp.com. That's seniorfmnp.com.
We are Seattle Sports.
Swing and a miss, struck him out, matching a career best 10 strikeouts for Bryce Phillips.
The home of the Mariners.
Key here is employee satisfaction. There is no expectation for customer satisfaction if the people that work with us don't feel taken care of and supported and loved. I'm proud of this Lily Johnson Auto family. I'm proud of our stores. And I need everybody to share in that mindset, because it makes a better experience for the customer. It also makes it a better place to work. Walking away from an interaction with a customer that says, I can't believe how easy this was. I can't thank you enough for helping me. Receiving a handwritten letter that's personalized to a salesperson or service advisor or a technician expressing gratitude, and then taking that home and sharing that with your family and hanging that on your refrigerator, that's the difference.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures using a person's own stem cells to regenerate cartilage in their own joints. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone, are back doing what they enjoy without pain and without surgery. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bump and Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Taking a look around the NFL, we are going to start with some cuts around the league. Former Seahawks tight end Jacob Hollister among cuts today for the Panthers. You mentioned during the break, he made a nice NFL career for himself.
He did. He's been in the game like 5 years now, I want to say. Most guys only make it around 3. That's good for him. He'll get picked up, though, man, because he has some game time experience. He's just a tweener. His size, like he should be a receiver, but he's really a tight end.
Yeah.
But, you know, he'll be all right.
Tom Pelissero reporting Easop Winston Jr. did not make the Seahawks final roster. All these are reports. Final rosters are submitted in a half hour. And then Jordan Schultz reporting D. Eskridge did not make the roster. I know you weren't surprised about either of these. Are you disappointed by either?
Kinda. Not really. We knew that it was going to be tough for these guys to make the team, especially when you saw Reek Young contributing on special teams, Laviska Shenault doing this thing as well. They've both been around for a while. They've had their opportunities, just couldn't do enough.
Let's see. Tight end Tyler Mabry, according to Brady Henderson of ESPN, also waived. That was a deep tight end room, though. You'd been looking at it all offseason, saying you were really excited about this group because they had a lot of really good competitors there.
Yeah, what this tells me is that Farrell Brown is going to be fine, because that was one of my concerns, is that he had a foot issue going on. But you knew going to the season, or felt it was going to be Noah Fant, Farrell Brown, A.J. Barner. Is Brady Russell going to make the squad? Let's go 3-8.
I think so. Okay, let's jump out of Seattle and look at some others. I thought this one was, I'm going to file it under surprising. I think that when I say this name, you're going to say, well, of course. But this isn't an especially deep group in Kansas City, at least from the outside looking in, so I was a little surprised. The Chiefs are releasing wide receiver Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, I feel like he's always been a bubble guy. I don't even know how long he's been in the league, but
I mean, I know he's with the Giants, and they had no receivers, and we're like, no, that's okay.
Yeah, it always feels like
take him.
He can't do enough, and he's going to bounce around a bit. He's another guy that you know is going to get picked up somewhere, because he's extremely fast, man. Those hands need some work, but again, he'll be okay too.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about another Chief. This time, good news for him. The Kelsey brothers, Travis and Jason, have signed a 3-year, $100 million deal with Amazon's Wondery brand to become the home for their New Heights podcast. Tell me if this is fair. The New Heights podcast received a boost from Taylor Swift fans.
Oh, definitely did.
Right?
Definitely.
And that's not to say they're not great podcasters. I think both are smart, really entertaining voices and have really captured like that genre. They get it. I think that they got a boost from Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift definitely helped the profile of the Kelsey brothers. And then all the attention that the tush push was getting help elevate Jason Kelsey, because he has been the most talked about center that I've ever seen. Ever. Like, I can't remember a center, like, just nationally. Obviously, you have your market centers, right? Everyone loved Unger when he was here. But I'm talking about across the country. He's the most famous center of all time in the NFL.
I appreciated, because I don't think it's wrong. I mean, he's one of the best we've seen. He's a future Hall of Famer. Just seems like a genuinely cool dude. He's marketable, so I get it. I did appreciate I don't know if the Eagles retweeted it themselves or if someone else, other people were retweeting it. They found the Eagles tweet from when he was drafted, and I want to say the 6th round, and the Eagles PR account misspelled his name.
Really?
So that's kind of where you start. Like when you're drafted, there's no photo, there's no graphic, there's no anything. Your own team spells the name wrong. I mean, it's probably like a PR intern. And then you eventually retire as one of the most famous players in the NFL and a future Hall of Famer. That's a pretty cool journey.
That's a great story, man. And a lot of if you look at the Hall of Fame, you're going to see a lot of players that were drafted late in this thing, man. Sometimes you take a different route to reach greatness. Big up to the Kelsey brothers, man. They have become sweethearts or darlings of the U.S.
They certainly have. Next up, following Malik Willis's trade to the Packers, Brock Purdy and Skylar Thompson are the only 2022 quarterbacks still with their original teams. Let's revisit that list. It was a horrible draft class. Kenny Pickett traded to the Eagles. Desmond Ridder traded to the Cardinals and was released by Arizona today. Bailey Zappi, remember him? He was waived by the Patriots. Sam Howell traded from Washington to the Seahawks.
That's why the Dallas Cowboys need to go ahead and pay Dak Prescott. Go ahead and pay him. Listen, he has not had a great playoff record, but it is so hard to find quarterbacks, man. And this draft coming up, there aren't any real stars in this thing. It's tough. So once you hit a good one, you lock them down.
Truly. I mean, I think that we talked yesterday about Mike Sando's quarterback tiers article, and we were both like, just put Patrick Mahomes in another tier. Because what ends up happening is every single person compares their own quarterback to Patrick Mahomes and finds all the ways that their quarterback couldn't be right, and then falsely assumes you can just find another Patrick Mahomes, which every team has tried and failed to do since Mahomes was drafted. That kind of talent is so rare. And not only that, but that kind of talent has to find the right coach, the right system, the right philosophy. Everything needs to work to take advantage of great opportunities. And then it kind of cheapens our own evaluation of other quarterbacks. Like, it's bonkers to me to look at Dak Prescott and think he's not a great quarterback.
He's a great quarterback. Just hasn't won the big game.
Yeah.
You know who else who hasn't? Brock Purdy hasn't. Josh Allen hasn't. Joe Burrow hasn't. Lamar Jackson hasn't. Tua hasn't. The top quarterbacks in this league have not won a Super Bowl. It is Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady, who just retired. Everyone else who's won a Super Bowl is gone. Mine is Matthew Stafford. Everyone else is not in the league right now. It is so hard to do. And this is where quarterback salaries are going anyway. You're going to pay the next guy more than $60 million if you don't sign Dak Prescott. It is what it is. Increase the salary cap. Pay your quarterback.
All right, next story here. The NFL will not use ball spotting technology during the 2024 season. A preseason trial produced mixed results, so they're shelving that system.
Why? I mean, I get the mixed results, but I feel like we didn't give it enough attention. Were they not letting us know during the broadcast it was going down? I mean, I've watched the games, and a lot of the times I don't listen with the volume up because I'm doing something, dishes or helping the kids out or whatnot. But we didn't give this enough attention. They got to let us know. Send me the data. Let me see. I'll be the judge of this.
So according to Awful Announcing, the primary complaint was that it took too long. But my answer to that would be, then change something with the technology or update the technology. Because I'm telling you guys, when you are in the press box, there are people there that are with the NFL and with different like ESPN stats and info, and with whatever else they do. And they have like trackers, live trackers on players. Like they have so much technology, high-level technology that they use for everything else.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that this could have just been, evaluated differently, maybe evolve it a little bit more, maybe work on it during the offseason to make it more accurate. There's just no way that a multi-billion-dollar thing can't find a better way to track a football.
You mean we got astronauts stuck in outer space that are going to be chilling for 8 months, and we can't figure out how to market dang football using GPS? I think it's lazy, Stacey. I think it's lazy.
I don't know. I don't know if it's some conspiracy theory to keep John. No, I don't know. I think it's probably just that they rolled it out for the first time and it wasn't exactly what they thought it would be.
It was glitching.
Yeah. Just some fixes to make, and that's okay, but I don't think they should shelve the idea. I think they absolutely need to revisit it. Yeah, exactly.
Update the app.
All right. What I need to know is coming your way next. We are heading into the dugout at 1 p.m. Mariners Director of Player Development, Justin Toole, is going to join us. We're going to see if we can grab Shannon Dreer. Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith going to join us. We're going to take a look around MLB. All Mariners from 1 to 2. Now just 3.5 games back of Houston. What I need to know coming your way next. Get your questions into the Mac and Jacks text line, 866-979-3776. That's next.
It's a new era for the Seahawks.
Oh, my word, what a catch! What a catch by JSN!
I always expect us to go out and play hard and play physical and be clean.
I would think he's going to come in and be pretty disciplined about this is what we're doing, man.
A new season kicks off September 8th when the Hawks host the Broncos at Lumen Field.
Touchdown, Seahawks! The Seahawks defense, they awaken the crowd at Lumen Field.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks.
Hey, Brock Ewart here. Don't you think buying a car should be fun? Well, that's why Kia of Everett, they are the home of simple, easy fun. And what does that mean for you? Simple, because of their knowledgeable staff in sales and service. Easy, because of their transparent financing. And fun, because of the culture in the store you feel the moment you walk through the doors. After spending some time with Eric Butler and the team, don't buy anywhere else until you experience simple, easy, fun right there at Kia of Everett. Kia of Everett, part of the Harnish Auto family.
The Cult, live at Muckleshoot Casino Resort, September 23rd. Gather your Cult crew for one of the best live music events in Washington this year. The Cult takes the stage at Muckleshoot Event Center, Monday, September 23rd. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com.
Hey, babe. Yeah, the bank password is Moneybags, but a $sign instead of the S.
Mr. Moneybags here is about to get his identity stolen.
Wait, what?
If he used 1Password, he can share logins, credit cards, and other important information with just his wife, not the whole store. Sir, your card's been declined.
Again?
Security is complicated. 1Password isn't. And right now, get a free 2-week trial at 1Password.com. That's 2 free weeks at 1Password.com.
Are you a skilled plumber looking for a top-rated team? Join Ben's Plumbing, rated 5 stars for exceptional service. Enjoy great pay and benefits, a supportive team, and a non-commissioned plumbing career. Apply now at bens.plumbing. That's bens.plumbing.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
We are Seattle Sports.
Swing and a miss, struck him out, matching a career best. 10 strikeouts for Bryce Miller.
The home of the Mariners.
Many homes throughout our area lack proper insulation in their attic and crawl space. Hi, this is Colin from Puget Sound Energy. At PSC, we want every home to be energy efficient, so we partnered with PSC recommended energy professionals like Crawl Pros to properly insulate attics and crawl spaces and bring them up to today's energy efficiency standards. If your home was built before 1990, you may be eligible for PSC rebates that cover up to 95% of your cost. Here's Richard Herron, the owner of Crawl Pros, for more information on how you can take advantage of these terrific rebates.
Thanks, Colin. These truly are the most aggressive utility rebates we've seen since Crawl Pros started working with PSE over a decade ago. Don't miss this opportunity to have PSE cover a large portion of your attic or crawl space insulation job. To take advantage of these programs, schedule your free estimate at crawlpros.com. We'll walk you through the rebate program your home qualifies for and get your attic or crawl space project scheduled immediately. That's crawlpros.com.
Breaking ball struck him out. That's a dozen for George Kirby.
A Mariners game is the perfect place to spend a Seattle summer day. You can kick back with some Moto Pizza, take in the views of Elliott Bay, enjoy a local brew, and soak up the sun. It's like going to the beach, only better, because you don't have to pack a big cooler, you can't get stung by a jellyfish, and there's no sand to get in your shoes or anywhere else. Plus, the beach usually doesn't have JP, Cal, or Julio.
Fair ball, base hit. Julio hits third base. He's racing home. He's saved. Cal Raleigh delivers.
Pass me that sunscreen. Let's go. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
Bring your whole crew to this week's summer send-off at T-Mobile Park. The Mariners homestand wraps up with 2 more value games against the Rays, which means you can score seats for as little as $10 to tonight's matchup at 6:40 and tomorrow's midweek matinee at 1:10. Go to mariners.com/value games and lock in your tickets now.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's what I need to know before we get to the huddle. All Mariners 1 to 2. Get your questions in to the Mac and Jacks text line 866-979-3776. What I need to know. You're stuck in traffic with just enough time to listen to an album front to back. What are you rocking with?
No one's going to know this one.
Okay.
It's a California rapper, J-Rock. It's called Redemption. Came out in 2018. Remember that song, Win, 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 Win?
Yes.
So him,
I
his album.
love that song.
Yeah.
I remember saying the Mariners should have played that last year more often.
Yeah.
And then they did after one win, and I was like, this is the greatest choice they've ever made as a franchise.
That is if you love hip hop, that is a sneaky classic, man. He's low key. He's got Kendrick Lamar on a couple of his tracks,
Yeah.
but it's low key. Yep.
What I need to know, is John Schneider done? Here's what they mean. Are the Hawks all set, or is he scouring recent cuts league-wide for a D-end or linebacker diamond in the rough?
I think he's always looking.
Yeah.
He's always looking. Will he pull the trigger? That's a different story, but no, he's not done. That's his job, is to always be on the hunt.
Yeah, I think he's someone, and he says that regularly, and I don't think that it's just something GMs say. I think that you have to be a type of person to make it that far, and that means you're constantly seeking out opportunities and constantly reevaluating your own team and your decisions. Like, you have to have that trait as a person to have that job. So yeah, I think he's always looking. What I need to know, do you guys have nicknames now, or did you as kids, and what were they?
I mean, the show is named Bump and Stacy.
That is my nickname.
Yeah, it's not your government name. It's Bumpus.
It is Bumpus.
I had a nickname that I prefer not to talk about.
Is it Stinky Stacy?
No, it's not Stinky Stacy. That is what your daughter calls me, because you guys taught her to call me that.
We're all
No,
friendly here.
I
We're
said
all
it one
friends.
time when we were Jake and Stacy, and then Jake
Crybaby Stacy.
Oh,
Jake and
I
Curtis
remember that
continued to make fun of me, and listeners made fun of me, and it took them a year to
Who called you that? Like your
Or
friends
your
called you
sister,
that?
No,
right?
my sister started it, and then it was in like 4th grade, and then everyone started calling me Crybaby Stacy for like the whole year, and I cried when they called me Crybaby Stacy.
Adding credence to the nickname.
And my sister was the one who started it, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Crybaby. And she still says that to me. Like, if I get upset about something, I'll be like, oh, that's lame. She'll be like, oh, is Crybaby Stacy coming out?
It's never going away.
She's a bully, and I was surrounded by bullies, and I
Are
don't
you
appreciate.
younger or older?
I'm older. Yeah, she's just a jerk. I love her. Let's see what I need to know. Did Stacy tease me by calling the dugout the huddle? Oh no, did I say the huddle? I think I said the dugout. Oh,
we were
I'm
talking about
sorry.
the huddle during the commercial break, so I could understand why.
Although the huddle's coming back, you guys.
Next week.
Season already here. It's going to be next Wednesday. Typically, it's going to be on Thursdays. So you guys just keep in mind, 12 to 2 on Thursdays. Almost every single time is going to be the huddle. It's going to be a special time next week. But I can't believe we're already here.
Crazy.
Start of the season. Unbelievable. What I need to know, has Edgar been a coach for the Mariners in the past?
Yeah. 2015 to 2018.
Yeah.
He was their hitting coach.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when I saw there was some outcry about him returning as hitting coach, I was like, why? Their offense was good when he was here. And if there's one guy I trust hitting a baseball in this town,
Yeah.
probably Edgar Martinez.
Someone said take with the bowl by the hand, Stacy. Again, that's not me.
It is her.
It's not. It's Salk's wife. And so many people think that's me, and I don't think it sounds like me, though I do think it's a great line from Heather. I think it's really funny.
I thought it was you until you made it clear it wasn't.
No, it's not me. And so I'm going to file a lawsuit. What I need to know. Who gets bumped from the team when JP Crawford is reinstated? Please don't tell me it's Rivas, given how he's playing.
I mean, that's the first name that came to my mind.
Same.
It's not going to be Demo. He's here to stay. It's got to be Rivas.
Yeah. What I need to know, Bump, I heard your Game Time playlist had Mariah Carey on it. Is this true?
Most definitely, yeah. Prayers out to Mariah Carey. Lost her mom and her sister on the same
Yeah.
day. Nuts.
What I need to know, what team should sign D. Eskridge? I don't know, a team that needs a returner.
A team out of this division.
Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Oh,
Curtis.
dang. You sending them to Canada
Come
already?
on now.
Yeah.
He's got to explore some other teams. You
Get
never
ready
know.
to learn Canadian, buddy.
Oh, God. What I need to know, what's the best cheese to use for a grilled cheese sandwich?
America.
Wow.
It does melt the best.
Mm-hmm.
American cheese. That's a real cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kraft Singles.
I thought that was just at Subway. I didn't know American cheese. I was thinking like Gouda, cheddar, Havarti,
For
Colby
grilled
Jack.
cheese?
Like American is the name of the cheese. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Are we
Kinda cheese you
positive we're
want?
not just
American.
co-opting that?
Nah, it's American. It's real.
Okay.
It's real.
Okay. Let's see. Someone said that's absolutely Stacy, and I will never believe otherwise. Well, you will when that lawsuit gets filed against the show. Let's see. If you had to live a day in the life with anyone from the station or like follow them a day in their life, who would you choose?
Who would I want to follow? I feel like we live like regular lives. Like no one lives. You know what? Probably Justin. He's always traveling somewhere.
Yeah, he does cool stuff.
Riding his motorcycle places.
Underrated answer, Bob. I don't think anybody knows what he lives like
That's
outside
true.
of work. What
I've-
does he do when he gets home?
Bob is a mystery.
Does he just sit? Does he have his one fork, his one knife, his one spoon, and his one plate?
How much hand sanitizer does Bob use in a day?
Does he have anything on his walls? Is it just white walls?
He's got that college bachelor pad.
Wow, that's actually a
One
really
chair.
good point.
I think
Yeah.
I think Curtis wins with that one.
Yeah, I would love to know what Bob does outside of work.
What I need to know, how many games did the Seahawks win if Sam Howell is the quarterback?
6.
Yeah, probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
They're not a playoff team with him at quarterback.
I do think in general the conversation about, oh, should it be Sam Howell over Geno has quieted. I've seen a lot less of it. Don't you think on the text line?
Yeah, it's calmed down a bit.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, I think Geno's a pretty solid starter, man.
Mhm.
If the Seahawks were to cut Geno today, another team would sign him in 5 minutes.
Facts.
So, let's see. What I need to know. Bump, what's the best moonshine order? You talk about moonshine.
Oh, I go with the brisket sliders. Bomb. All of my folks at Moonshine.
425 said they'd follow Brock. I have to know if he's really that weird.
He is. Can confirm.
Let's see. What I need to know. You think any surprises make this roster?
Nah, they're gone already.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a expected.
Aesop's out, D is out, DJ James
Yeah.
is out, Sheriff is out. Nah, no surprises.
What I need to know, why did the fellas keep letting Stacy comment on food takes?
Because
First of all, it
this
was
is
a water take.
it's equal opportunity
Thank
environment
you.
here.
Because Women's Equality Day was yesterday.
Yesterday, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's why we
shame
do
on
it.
you guys.
Yeah.
I get an equal say in food here, okay?
You do.
We've fought for this.
Even if it's horrible takes,
We
you
marched
still
for
get
this.
your takes.
Thank you.
That's the First Amendment, right?
That's the First
Yeah,
Amendment,
freedom
I think.
of speech.
I think I'm exercising my right
Freedom
to
of speech
amendment.
protects bad food
That's
takes.
exact. Thank you. Mariners Director of Player Development, Justin Toole, joins us next to get the dugout started. It's coming your way in a bit.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
It's a sprained MCL for Uchenna Nwosu, and he's expected to miss anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks.
Just talked about how important he is to particularly the run game and setting the edge, but how important he is to this team. Such a shame, and that's just your worst nightmare, right?
Yeah, for you to get hurt in the final preseason game, you're right. It is every coach's fear if you are playing your starter. Some coaches don't do it, and they'll point to this is why they don't.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Sure, you can fill up at any gas station, but at any gas station, could you score 2 tickets to a Seahawks game? Sure can't. So head to a 76 or Conoco station and turn your next pit stop into a touchdown. When you buy 8 or more gallons with the Fuel Forward app, you can enter to win 2 Seahawks tickets. Next stop, Lumen Field. See official rules for details. Valid July 29th to December 15th, 2024. Copyright 2024 Phillips 66 Company. All rights reserved.
Are you looking for a distinctly Christian education? A place where your child can be challenged with academic rigor through a biblical worldview? And where you can build a community around the most important things in life: faith, family, and education. My name is Jordan Gage, head of school at King's, and I'd love to share more with you about how your student can flourish on our campus. For a tour or more information, go to our website at kingschools.org or simply text Jordan to 89419. Building resilient disciples of Christ through Christian education for 75 years.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY, and I want to talk to you about following the law. All of them. Speeding, failure to signal, gabbing on the phone, sleeping while your car drives you.
Your destination.
There are many reasons an officer has the right to pull you over and then investigate for DUI. And that creates stress and anxiety, and no one needs more of that. We hear all the time that folks feel a DUI investigation shouldn't develop unless they displayed signs of impaired driving, like kissing the curb or crossing the line. But the police are doing their job, and they save lives. Avoid being pulled over by following all the laws, even when your car is the one that's loaded. Call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com to schedule your free consultation for any criminal offense. A minor traffic infraction can lead to a serious DUI, so don't give the police a reason to pull you over, and never drink and drive.
1-800-DUI-AWAY!
Seattle is home to Swedish CyberKnife, a non-invasive and highly precise treatment for prostate cancer. Swedish CyberKnife is the only CyberKnife center in the Pacific Northwest. Compared with other radiation treatments, which can last 6 to 9 weeks, CyberKnife treatment is much shorter, typically 5 days or less. CyberKnife advanced robotic technology can track your slightest body movement, adjusting in real time to deliver radiation with extreme accuracy, sparing healthy tissue. The vast majority of patients experience minimal side effects and can continue normal activities during treatment. CyberKnife offers curative cancer treatment while minimizing side effects and disruption to a patient's life. The experienced CyberKnife team has helped advance the field with research, protocols, and published findings. Swedish CyberKnife treats patients from all over Washington state. If you, a friend, or family member is diagnosed with prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic collector car, truck, and boat auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Gates open at 9 a.m. Auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
Summer is here, and now's the time to break through those weight loss frustrations. Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, and we have a proven system that can help you lose weight and get healthy. No drugs, no side effects, no calorie counting, no exercise. Just teaching you the simple steps to become a fat-burning machine and keep it off long-term. Remove the stress of trying to do this on your own and picture being down 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days with our help. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle changes. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
eastsideweightlossklinictclinic.com.
It's one thing to take the weight off, but it's another thing to keep it off, and that's where Eastside Weight Loss Clinic really shines. The maintenance phase actually works. It's a program that is sustainable for the rest of your life.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossklinictclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Other places make you pay extra for that, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from less. Book your appointment at leschwab.com. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com for details.
Right there, look it up, that baby's gonna get out of here! A 3-run homer right near Rosarena against this former team.
You're listening to 710 KIRO AM Seattle and KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma, the home of the Mariners. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners beat the Rays yesterday thanks to a 3-run home run from Randy Rosarena against his former team, and the Phillies walked off the Astros. That means your Seattle Mariners are now just 3.5 games back. In the NFL, it's roster cutdown day. All teams must submit their final 53-man roster right now, 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is The Dugout, every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy. Inside access to the clubhouse from Shannon Dreer on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
It is The Dugout, all Mariners from 1 to 2, getting started with Mariners Director of Player Development, Justin Toole. He joins us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Justin, how's it going?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so actually happy to have you because we haven't had a ton of time this year to talk about some of the young guys that you guys have. We've been focused so much on the big league club. And that's what happens, right? When you're in a chase for your division, you start focusing on the now. But you guys have so much going on with some of these young guys. I'll start with Cole Young. What have you seen from him this year, and what kind of excitement do you guys have internally about what he can do?
Yeah, Cole's been great. Like you mentioned, we've got quite a few guys just in our system that have been performing well throughout the course of the year, and Cole's one of them. I know a lot of Seattle fans probably have seen him a little bit in spring training, over the past year or so. But he's a guy that's been in Arkansas, our AA affiliate this year. One of the younger guys in the league at only 21, but he's got a slow, steady heartbeat, goes out there, does what he does each and every day. I think he's probably the model of consistency in terms of what you'd expect for a young player. He just had a 14-game hit streak that was snapped the other day, but I think that's kind of the epitome of who he is as a player. Reliable glove in the middle infield, puts together a good at-bat. One of those guys you're always excited to see at the field just to see what he can do each and every day.
Hey, you guys got 4 affiliates that are well above 500. What does this mean for the bigs? I know it's tough, right? A lot of these guys aren't going to make it to the bigs, but it's all about a foundation. It feels like the foundation is pretty solid right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely something that we talk about is winning is a part of development. And a lot of that comes in terms of competing in between the lines. And we've got a great group of guys that not only take that message to heart, but they love competing. And a lot of our young players kind of feed off each other. If you look at our Modesto squad this year, what they did to start the beginning of the year, they just had a ton of competitors on that team and, fed off of each other, which ends up not only helping the team, but getting each of those guys better as well. So definitely winning, something we talk about, finding ways to compete while developing at the same time. And, all of our managers and our PD staff have done a great job of sending that message, and the players have ran with it this year.
Obviously, you've got September call-ups, which everyone has their eye on, but then even looking at early next season, who might be a name or two that we can look at from the Mariners as someone to make their debut soon?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of guys that are really exciting, especially towards the top, of our system. And I think you look at guys that have debuted this year, guys like Troy Taylor. I think that's a guy that I brought up a little bit last year as a guy that, could burst on the scene. I don't want to throw any names out there just because I think, there's a lot of guys that, deserve opportunities, and, when their opportunity comes, they'll be ready. But one of the things we talk a lot about is is just not trying to put a TBD or an ETA on somebody in terms of when they think that they should be there. It's trying to handle each and every day, the best they can and doing what they can to get better each and every day. And then, the rest of it will take care of itself. And that's kind of the message that we tried to send throughout our system. And our guys have, taken that message and have continued to go about their business and find ways to improve to hopefully get up there to help that major league team.
Hey, Justin, obviously there's been some change in the organization at the top, but how does that affect what you guys do? Is Dan, how does he get involved in the lower levels? Just what does that look like?
Yeah, Dan's a guy that's been instrumental to the minor league group. You'll see him in spring training on the backfield working with our catchers. You'll see him talking to our manager group. You'll see him in our minor league coaches meetings. He's a guy that cares about people, and he cares about the game, and he cares about the Mariners. And definitely, there's a guy that everybody in our system is familiar with. It's Dan, and what he's done, and a guy with his pedigree and what he's been able to do as a player at the major league level. The type of person that we all know that he is, and you combine that with the impact that he can have. He's been nothing but unbelievable since he's gotten over here in terms of helping our minor league group, whether it's staff, whether it's players, with a vision, with a work ethic. It's been great. So, obviously Dan's a guy that knows our system about as well as anybody.
Hey, Justin, I know that I'm about to ask what feels like a really big, vague question, but I'll start with explaining why I'm asking. The Mariners as an organization have received so much praise, not just for their current big league starters, but for the way that you guys have built up and then rebuilt up the farm system. It is very, very impressive. So I know you oversee player development, and you're just one person and part of a very big team of all kinds of people who work together to do this. But is there like an overlying philosophy or maybe like a secret sauce when it comes to you guys in player development and building up that system?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's a big group of really talented, really good people that are passionate about helping players and people grow. I think that's when I look at our system, or I think about our system and kind of what has been the secret sauce. We always talk about it's the people that we have. And I think with that, it's messaging and finding ways to make complex things simple. And I think that's something that we've done well in terms of developing our players. We sit down with our draft group or our international signs when they first come into the organization and basically lay out a vision of here's what we believe in, here's what we think will help you get to the major leagues, and then sit down individually with each player and find a way to, hey, here's what your path looks like, and then try to bridge that gap of, here's what you look like as a major leaguer. Here's where you are now. How can we help you get where you want to go? And I think it's a combination of our people and the messaging that gets, gets us to a spot where our system gets recognized like it has.
What's the communication like with other organizations? I would assume that, there is some information that you guys share with each other, and obviously some that you keep at home because you don't want people copying what you're doing or finding your secret potion or whatnot. What is the communication like with other organizations?
Yeah, there's a lot of friendships with other people and other organizations and things like that, and oftentimes you can bounce ideas back and forth. But I think when you look at our game, there's so much information out there. Everybody has access to the same information. I think the secret to it is how you use that information. And again, I'll go back to our player development group and the group that we have. We have a tremendous group of people, and that's kind of where I feel like our competitive advantage is. And so it's just finding ways to take that information, make it simple for our players. And obviously you can learn and talk to other people and kind of gain, knowledge from experiences and things like that. But the bottom line is we rely on our in-house group, a ton when it comes to philosophy, game planning, and building a vision for our minor league players.
What's the biggest thing you've learned along this journey? Like, is there a way you used to think about player development that has changed over time?
I think the biggest thing is just remembering you're dealing with people, and a lot of people, understand things differently. They develop at different rates. No two players are going to have the same path. Young players who come in highly touted, sometimes they develop faster. Maybe there's a player that comes in out of college that's not highly touted that develops much quicker than you expected and gets to the big league. So I think just finding as many ways as you can to communicate with the individual. And what I mean by that is just finding the best way that they understand information to help them develop, and then continuing to have patience. There's a lot of really good players that, don't develop when they're 24, 25, 26. It's later in their 20s when they make a big impact. And so the patience is a part of it, but also just kind of, looking at the big picture and kind of plug in the holes here and there as they come.
Justin, I don't even know if you have an answer to this question. I come from a football background, And there's always 3 states who claim we produce the best football players. It's California, Texas, and Florida. Is there a region that you feel like produces the best ball players?
I don't know if there's a specific region. I'm sure people will argue. I will definitely say the warmer the weather, the easier it is for players to get outside and get reps. So I definitely would think somewhere, on the West Coast or in the South. People often talk about Florida. They talk about, the Georgia area. They talk about Texas. They talk about California. Obviously, warm weather states. I definitely think that those are probably places that you would point to as more of a hotbed than, say, Minnesota or North Dakota, places like that. So I definitely think weather plays a factor into that. But, in today's age with technology and, being able to travel and do stuff, it's definitely, made it more of a level playing field, but definitely being in a warm weather climate helps.
Hey, Justin, I know that you and your staff oversee the development of so many of these guys, and it must be so rewarding when they make it to the big leagues and they succeed and all these things you knew to be true about them kind of show. But do you ever have that, like, dropping your kid off at college feeling where that kind of their development then goes into the hands, or maybe just like day-to-day development goes into the hands of a different coaching staff? Like, do you ever think, like, oh man, like it's cool to watch this guy graduate to the next step, but I'm kind of I'm missing tracking this development more.
Now that you say that, I'm going to think about it every time.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. And again, it goes back to our people. I think one of the things we talk about is when players progress through our system, whether it's Modesto to Everett, whether it's Everett to Arkansas, whether it's Tacoma to the major leagues. We try to communicate within our staffs, and we let our players know that, we want to help you become your own best coach. So as you move through systems with different staffs or you go to a different affiliate, yourself better than anybody. Find ways to be able to build consistency, know your routine to ultimately help you perform on the field. And, we do a good job of communicating amongst our staffs to try to be able to ease that transition as much as we can. But ultimately, everybody wants, our players to impact our major league team. And, regardless of what affiliate you're at, when there's one of our, minor league guys that have made their debut or is, helping the major league team, eyes are glued to the TV when they're not on the field because they're cheering on their guys, cheering on the team. It's definitely one of those proud feelings to know that you played a small part in somebody's journey to help them, achieve something that they've always wanted to achieve.
Well, 3 of the Mariners' 4 affiliates are well above 500. Lots of young, exciting players to talk about. You and your staff are doing amazing work here. So really cool, Justin, for you to join us and give us some insight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun talking about our guys.
Love it. Thank you. See ya. You are listening to The Dugout. Still to come, Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith is going to join us at 1:30 for a look at the big league club, moving on from talking about prospects to talking about what's going on right now. Before then, taking a listen to the latest from Jeff Passan.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Saul.
Jeff Passan joins us.
What this staff has done, can you give me any historical context?
Since the turn of the century, the second lowest walk rate of a starting rotation over the course of a full season. The only team ahead of them was the 2005 Minnesota Twins. If you go back and look at that, a bunch of soft-tossing garbage arms. These are guys who were throwing like 95 to 100. We came into the season this year saying this could be really good. And honestly, I think they've exceeded expectations.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
Justin Meek. He's the leader and caretaker of the 380 people who consider Lee Johnson their home.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. with 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Well, what do we have here? The Astros have lost 3 of their last 4. Mariners have won 3 of their last 4. And now Houston's lead is cut to just 3.5 games. Jeff Passan thinks that's going to change.
I mean, the Rays are a good team. The Angels are not, though, and the A's are not. So I think I actually do think when we talk at this point next week, it's 3.5 now, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the lead will be less than 3.5.
Bump. It's about what you do with opportunity. You know this, right? I'm sure this is often preached to athletes, and you as a coach preach it to athletes. It's one thing to be talented. It's one thing to feel like you're ready for a moment, but do you embrace it? The Mariners had a moment to take advantage of a series against the Tigers, against the Pirates, and didn't. Now they have an opportunity at home to take advantage of a series against weaker teams compared to what Houston is going to face. There's a real chance here that by the end of the week, Houston's lead could even be cut down to 1.5.
It could be, and it should be, honestly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a real possibility. These guys go out tonight at 6:40 and take care of the Rays, and the Astros struggle. So we're going to be scoreboard watching. I'm sure all the people at T-Mobile will be doing the same. That's the situation that you're in. You know, if you were up 10 games with this much time left in the season, then it would mean a bit less. What the Astros are doing will mean a bit less. That's just not where you're at. But no, I think it's a real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And, just hope for the best. Come on, who's on the mound today? Gilbert? Let's go, Gilbert.
This is the second interview that Brock and Salk had with Jeff Passan post Scott Service being fired. So the second time around, they finally got to ask Jeff, hey, what did you make of Dan Wilson's first series and one more game as a manager?
It's nice to see this immediate success. And frankly, maybe Dan Wilson is the guy. Maybe this move was not as short-sighted as it seemed, and maybe in the end he's precisely what they needed. But if it takes me 100 games to know what a team is, I'm certainly not going to be rendering judgments on an individual in his ability to lead a team after just 4.
Fair.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And he also talked about, maybe this was pretty much in the works already with Dan Wilson, depending on how this season went with Service. And I hope that's the case. I hope it wasn't just, we got to let him go. Who you got? I hope it was, okay, if something were to happen, if this team continues to slide the way that we've seen, I'm hoping 2 months ago, they're like, this is our contingency plan. This is what's going to happen if this goes down, because Dan is more than capable and qualified of doing this job. It felt like the decision-making could have been rushed a little bit because they didn't say he's interim. They go, no, he's the guy moving forward. But No, I think when you do make decisions like that, if they are comfortable coming out and giving Dan control of this situation from here on out, then they had to have had this in the works for a little bit.
I think being a manager in modern baseball is a lot different than it used to be. Justin Verlander, we had clips of him on Sunday Night Baseball talking about that. We've listened to other guys talking about just how the league has changed over time. Trevor May talked to us about that. So when Brock and Salk talked to Jeff, instead of just saying, what do and do you not have control over, they just said, okay, tell us the traits. In today's game, tell us the traits that make a good manager. Here's the first.
Number one, a great ability to listen, and not just to listen to what your fellow coaches have to say, but to listen to what players are saying. And I think the best leaders of men and women are those who don't believe that what they have in their mind is exactly what it should be. And that's where listening comes in.
Now, Bump, I know I'm asking you from the perspective of a football coach and not a baseball manager, but I would imagine listening for anyone in leadership is important.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You have to be able to take the positives and bank it and say, all right, those are some things that we're doing correctly that we want to continue, and then take the negatives and digest it and use it to your advantage. If you're not capable or willing to embrace the negatives and learn from them, then you can't be a leader. And just because you're hit with some negative, it doesn't make all the negatives necessarily true neither, but you still have to process it. You still have to go through your process and figure out what you want to learn and take from that, the comment, the situation, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Leadership is tough too, man, because people aren't going to like you. Like, there's no leader that is just universally loved by everybody who's ever come in contact with him or her. That's just part of the situation. So you got to have thick skin in leadership too. You got to be able to listen, be true to yourself, and maybe adapt who you are over time off of your successes and your failures.
The second thing for a manager.
Number two, I think it is extremely important to have the players on your side and having your back. And that's something that wasn't always there with Scott Service. And I think it hindered the Mariners at times. And when things went sideways the way that they did over the last few weeks, I think there were some players who, because they had tuned him out for a while, they weren't there responding necessarily the way that they could have or frankly probably needed to.
This is low-key, I think, the hardest job for any manager, because you are ultimately seen as the boss, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you guys have group chats where your boss is included? Like, no matter what,
Heck no.
like, a boss is always going to be seen as, well, do they have my best interest or the company's best interest? And that doesn't necessarily change for Dan Wilson. He's going to have the challenge of, how do I let these guys know that I have their backs and I'm not, if they're mad at the front office after a trade, like I'm thinking of the Kendall Graveman trade, if they're mad at the front office and they're mad at a difficult decision that a GM had to make, sure, as a player, sometimes those are in contrast, those feelings. What do I do as the manager? Like, it's a tough spot to be in.
It is. And as a manager, you always have to realize, too, that you're going to be seen that way. Like, yeah, you're part of the boys. You're part of the club. Like they respect you. They'll let you in on some things a lot more than they would a guy upstairs. End of the day, you still work for them, though. And I think that this is a business. This isn't high school and college where we're developing young men. Yeah, you're developing, but you develop the ones and you invest in the ones that are giving you a return, which is performing on the diamond and winning you some ball games. It's not like I'm coaching Lil Bobby, who's only going to play JV. But I love Lil Bobby on JV. He's only going to play JV, but you know what? He's going to leave this world, not leave this world, excuse me, Bobby. He's going to leave this team. Dark. He's going to leave this team and be a CEO somewhere, or, be a great husband, a good father and stuff. It's different. And that's what's tough about professional sports is, we love you guys. Yeah, you love them if they are winning and they are producing for you.
Yeah.
If they're not doing that, you might have love for them, but you also realize that they got to go. So it's a business, and Dan realizes that he'll never be one of the guys, though.
I love the frequency with which we use on this show Lil Bobby as an example always of a player of any age who isn't cutting it.
Yeah, Lil Bobby.
What am I going to do with Lil Bobby over here if he's hitting 150?
Do you know a Bobby? I don't know a Bobby.
I know. Do I know a Bobby? My cousin's name is Robert.
Is he younger than you?
No.
All
my cousins are
a
older.
little Bobby.
He's
You got to be in high school and under if you're a little Bobby.
Yeah. I almost said I got to meet more kids, and then I thought, I don't. Last one here. Third most important trait.
And the third thing is proper communication with the front office. Like the best partnerships, I look at Kevin Cash and Eric Neander in Tampa Bay. I look, locally for me, Matt Quatraro and JJ Piccolo. Like if you have the right type of communication from the manager seat to the front office and vice versa, then all of these organizational philosophies and principles about which you're so proud and all of the development ideas that are being taught in the minor leagues, they're going to be known at the big league level, and the big league coaching staff can prepare for it. And that's the manager's job. I mean, he's the CEO of the big league coaching staff, and he's the one whose job it is to get guys ready to go out and win baseball games.
Really good point from Jeff. No way for us to measure this for Dan Wilson just yet, but something certainly for him looking ahead.
And it's Dan is such in a weird situation right now.
Yeah.
He's gonna be critiqued heavily within the next week or so. But it's almost like he doesn't deserve anything that's going to come his way because he's jumping into this situation so late. But he'll be praised as well. So I'm hoping that they go on a run, they play some good ball, and he has a huge influence on these guys. Because honestly, he's in a win-win type of deal. If they lose, no sweat it, don't sweat it. He'll be the guy next year. If they win, then he looks like the hero. So it's going to be interesting, man. Every day, every game is going to be interesting, and we'll have some great analysis here on the dugout, Stacey.
Carter from Tacoma says, you are going to lead this world, Robert.
You're going to lead it, Robert.
Lil Bobby.
Lil Bobby.
Not the best player, but he's got gumption, perseverance.
Hey, he does his job. He's where he's supposed to be.
Well, his job is to work for every analogy we use. but I wish him the best. Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Dan Wilson's the new skipper. What kind of manager do you want to be?
Having a good relationship with the clubhouse is huge and really help to support the players. And, we want to be in it with them on a daily basis. In some ways, too, it's about getting out of the way. I mean, these guys are good players. These guys are the best players in the world at what they do. And so it's giving them what they need, but then allowing them the space and the creativity and the individuality to go out and do their job. The baseball season is a grind. There's no question. You have to ride that balance.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Many homes throughout our area lack proper insulation in their attic and crawl space. Hi, this is Colin from Puget Sound Energy. At PSC, we want every home to be energy efficient, so we partnered with PSC recommended energy professionals like Crawl Pros to properly insulate attics and crawl spaces and bring them up to today's energy efficiency standards. If your home was built before 1990, you may be eligible for PSC rebates that cover up to 95% of your cost. Here's Richard Herron, the owner of Crawl Pros, for more information on how you can take advantage of these terrific rebates.
Thanks, Colin. These truly are the most aggressive utility rebates we've seen since Crawl Pros started working with PSE over a decade ago. Don't miss this opportunity to have PSE cover a large portion of your attic or crawl space insulation job. To take advantage of these programs, schedule your free estimate at crawlpros.com. We'll walk you through the rebate program your home qualifies for and get your attic or crawl space project scheduled immediately. That's crawlpros.com.
It's a summer smackdown at Muckleshoot Event Center. August 31st, Live MMA is back with the best and most exciting live combat in the Northwest. Glory, respect, legacy. It's all on the line August 31st. Get your tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com.
Muckleshoot. Having quality care matters to everybody. So, let's talk about it. Optum Care Washington is healthier primary and specialty care. Your doctor can connect you to the care you need with top clinicians in more than 55 specialties, including podiatry, orthopedics, sports medicine, and spine specialists. And if you ever need ENT, breast, or colorectal surgery, you can count on board-certified surgeons. For top local doctors focused on you, connect with Optum at yourhealthwa.com.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back, I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
This is Dr. Andrew Elshouse of Revive Men's Health. If you're always feeling tired or moody, or your sleep is poor, you have low libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health Seattle at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, it's Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith. Aaron, how's it going?
Oh, it's going very well. How's everybody over there?
Good. Is the best or worst part of your day when you pick up the phone and it's Curtis or Matt?
Well, obviously, I hope that it's Curtis because I want no part of Matt Nelson. Because just the sound of his voice alone just sucks my soul from my living body.
I totally hear you. I will let you know. During the break,
really,
he didn't want to answer.
No, to be clear, Stacey, it's not so much that I want to hear Curtis. I just don't want to hear Matt.
I get it.
Curtis sounds so much better as a result of not being Matt, which I think a lot of people have actually made a career over in that building, not simply not being Matt.
If I told you that Matt was crying, would you believe me?
Oh no, he has. There are no tears left in his body. He's a bot. He's a completely emotionless bot. Just nothing but constant pain and negativity. Which is why I love him secretly. Secretly love him.
Will you just talk about baseball already, man?
Sorry.
This needs to
Sorry,
stop.
Matt. Okay, we're continuing. Aaron Goldsmith joining us now, talking about this big league club. Aaron, great news for Mariners fans. Bad news for Houston fans. Houston has dropped 3 or 4. Mariners have now closed that lead to 3.5. When you look out at the opportunity here that lies ahead for the Mariners, I know it's easy to say, oh, you're playing non-playoff teams. Obviously, the Mariners haven't always taken advantage of that. Do you feel like, though, they've been on kind of an upswing here where you can call it heating up?
The offense got enough done in that Giants series. There was some moments of agony probably where the Mariners wish they would have done more with all the men they got on base. Credit to them for getting as many on base as they did in those 3 games. But they got it done. And at this point in the season, if it wasn't already, it's just an ultimate pass-fail time of year. You just have to start racking up wins, and specifically series wins. And I think this is a kind of a unique place for Mariner fans and for the Mariners. We are not unfamiliar with the Mariners chasing from behind in September. What has been different in the past is it's normally been strictly focused on the wild card, and because of that, it's been focused on numerous teams, right? You're having to leapfrog maybe 2 to even 3 different teams. Right now, it's just, your missile lock is set on one team, and that's the Houston Astros. It really simplifies things. Now, the Astros have played really well, obviously, which makes it more complicated, but to me, and for I'm sure the Mariners themselves, if they were to allow themselves to look this far ahead, you circle the 3-game series in Houston in the back half of September. That's what it comes down to. The Mariners have to be within striking distance of the Astros when they roll into Minute Maid Park in late September. if they can be there and if they can take that series, then they're in the driver's seat. And that's what has to happen. The Mariners' schedule softens right now. The Astros is very difficult. They've got 2 more with Philly. They have 4 against Kansas City. They will soon have 3 with Arizona, who's been piping hot recently. The Mariners, as you said, Stacey, have not always taken advantage of lesser opponents. They have to now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Aaron, what do you know of the new guy, Dan Wilson? New guy to some, but he's been around the organization obviously for a while. Just give us an insight of what you know about him.
I know Dan very well, obviously, and it's still pretty surreal to see him sitting there in the dugout for the manager's media session every day, and hearing him have kind of even the strange things like the same cadence that he talks with on the broadcast, hearing him being the person in the middle of all the questions. I don't know when I'll get used to that, but I'm sure I will. I think if the Mariners wanted to make a change, and obviously they did, if the Mariners wanted to make a change at the manager's chair with 30-some-odd games to go, and they wanted to try to plug the holes and get this thing afloat and get into October, I don't think that there's another person on the planet more capable of that assignment than Dan Wilson. It's instant respect. It's instant credibility for those guys in the clubhouse. He has known so many of them since their earliest days as a professional during his time for years. I can't remember a time where Dan wasn't a roving instructor for the Mariners, where he would go to Modesto for a week or Everett for a week or so forth and so on. Obviously doing a lot of work with the catchers, but he was in uniform in the dugout and spent time with all these guys. And so, I mean, he knew Julio when he was in low A. He's obviously known Cal since the very beginning. I shared this story the other day, and it really stuck with me at the time, and I think it kind of helps to explain why Dan is in the position he's in right now, why he was chosen by the Mariners. This is one of the little things. I've never seen a coach that players flock to more than Dan. And there's always that kind of that line between coach and player, right? And Dan was kind of in a blurry area because of what I just described with how he has been a coach in the organization, not specifically on the big league staff, but he's known these guys on their way up. We were on the road last year, and we got on the bus. Dan was doing the broadcast with us, and we got on the bus after the game, and Jared Kelnick was sitting on the bus and had an empty seat next to him. And Jared, who, I think it's fair to say is a unique personality, not bad by any means, but I didn't see Jared pal around with a ton of guys. Not to say that he didn't. I just didn't see it that often. And Jared lit up when he saw Dan Wilson walk on the bus, and he started banging the empty seat next to him with his bare hand, motioning Dan to come over and sit next to him on the bus ride back to the hotel. Jared just really wanted to hang with Dan Wilson. I mean, he was just liked the guy, right? Liked the personality. Like we've all had the same feeling for so many years now. And I think that that's a fairly universal sentiment around Dan. If there's a guy who's just an ultimate unifier, and I've felt it up in the booth, just a good energy, good vibes, wants to be there, wants to work hard, wants to perform in all aspects, it's Dan. So I'm really happy for him. It obviously came under poor circumstances, but I'm very happy, and I know he's honored to have the position, clearly.
When you think of some of the best managers in the league, whether it's people you've covered or maybe people that you've watched from afar, what are some traits or qualities that you really, really admire? Like, what makes them great?
Well, I think the bottom line is you have to be a unifier. And even though the roster isn't as large as a football team, there's 26 guys, it can be a cliquey environment. You have your relievers, you have your starters, you have your position players, right? And you are, as a manager, trying to have one unified message for all. And you have specifically two groups of people who do very different things, obviously pitchers and position players. But you want to be a unifier, and you have to be a clear communicator. And I think Dan has both of those attributes, and I thought Scott had both of those attributes. Obviously, there was more that went into it that led to Scott's dismissal, but I thought Scott was a very good manager and did a lot with this ball club for almost a decade. But I think Dan has all those traits, including a great familiarity, and I don't think I can stress that enough. When I first kind of looked at this from the outside when the news came out, I really viewed that familiarity as something helping Dan, right? Helping him make the transition to his new role with the ball club. But the more that I've learned and kind of observed and listened, I think it goes equally the other way. There's a great familiarity with all those men in the clubhouse, both players and coaches, with Dan, which I think will help smooth the transition remarkably.
How does a guy like Dan help Julio in a time like this? You know, because this is unprecedented for Julio. He's never struggled like this at this level for this long. What do you think his approach with Julio is?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the Mariners getting to the finish line on top without Julio finding a hot streak between now and the next 30 games when the season ends. I will say this. I heard Edgar address the media when he was first introduced as the new hitting coach. And it was one of the first times that I can remember in recent years where I really kind of felt like the hitting was discussed in as simplified of a manner as the pitching, because we hear it with the pitching, right? I mean, it's dominate the zone, throw first pitch strikes, dominate the 0-0 and the 1-1 counts. Like, they make it so simple, and the pitching has excelled under that philosophy for years now at this point. And to be fair, I feel like I have to make this disclaimer, like, hitting is harder than pitching. You are reacting as opposed to the man in control. So it is more difficult, clearly. It is a practice of failure, hitting. But when Edgar said that there needs to be a change in approach, I think he was basically saying, like, generally team-wide, and that the overarching approach needs to be use the middle of the field, react off the fastball, right? Hunt the heater and react if it's not. When I heard him say that in like a very simple Edgar sentence, I thought, like that's it. He just managed to distill it into basically 2 sentences. Now, it's far more complicated than in reality. We know that if it was that simple, they would have done it a long time ago. And I think it would be foolish for all of us to think that those words have never been spoken before to those guys in the clubhouse. I have a pretty strong indication that they've tried just about everything to click this year. There's no doubt. But maybe from a new voice and maybe hammering that in particular will make a difference for Julio and for others. But I thought that was a pretty enlightening thing to hear, and I'm guessing that will be kind of a drum that gets banged for the last 30 games of the season.
He is Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith, kind enough to join us, very gracious with your time. Matt, before we let Aaron go, do you want to say anything nice?
About Aaron? Or just in general?
You know, Matt, whatever just comes freely to your mind.
Well, Aaron, we're out of time. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Aaron, I'm sorry.
Okay, Matt. Thanks so much. It's been great talking to you guys. I got to go.
Bye, Aaron.
Bye.
Matt, how could you?
Because it's just easy to be mean to Aaron.
Not one nice thing. Yeah, you guys are so mean to each other. I love your guys' relationship. It's so beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing.
Mariners insider Shannon Dreer joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
As we sit right now, when we always have this conversation throughout the season, who's the ace? Who's the best pitcher? It's clear. Brian Wu is your best pitcher right now as we sit.
It's incredible.
That's your 5th starter.
I mean, we used to have this conversation. It was like between the first 3, it would be, okay, Castillo, okay, it's Logan and George. But now all of a sudden you're number 5 in the rotation. Just incredible. He just throws strikes. Real simple.
He's been amazing.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Did you know about the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program? You can get an $80 benefit card to spend at local farmers markets. Use it to buy seasonal fruits, vegetables, and honey. Just bring your new SFMNP card with you when you shop. When you make a purchase, the grower will scan your card. Then you'll confirm the purchase with your PIN.
You're all set. Enjoy those tomatoes.
Thank you. I will.
Find participating markets, local contacts, and more info at seniorfmnp.com. That's seniorfmnp.com.
Feeling lucky? Don't miss the Lucky Fall Classic Collector Car, Truck, and Boat Auction. Saturday, August 31st at Tacoma's LeMay Marymount Event Center. Gates open at 9 a.m., auction starts at 10 a.m. Up to 200 collector, vintage, and classic vehicles. Many going to the highest lucky bidder with absolutely no reserve. Get lucky, get local, and get in line. Visit LuckyOldCar.com. That's LuckyOldCar.com or call 206-467-6531 for bidding and consignment details.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Other places make you pay extra for that, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from less. Book your appointment at leschwab.com. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com for details.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable, nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, Mariners insider Shannon Dreer. Hey, Shannon, how's it going?
It's going. How are you guys doing?
Great. Some good news for this Mariners team as the Phillies walked off Houston the other night. Thanks again, Bryce Harper. That lead now narrowed to 3.5 games. Let's talk about what's been working for the Mariners. Obviously, they've been at home and they've been winning, and it hasn't been absolutely perfect. But are there moments that have been really encouraging to you if you start thinking about their outlook for the rest of the season?
Well, I think they are what they are, and it's funny because everybody asks me to predict what's next, and that's been going on for the whole season, and we can't.
Yeah.
We just don't know. We don't know. So we know that they've played good ball for the last couple of days. We know that they've capitalized on the breaks that they have had over the last couple of days. We know that they play vastly better at home than they do on the road. So they're in a good place right now because they need to win ball games, and the more they can get at home, the better that is.
How important have guys like Rojas and Rivas been this year? Because they've been the spark, man. I always look at the past couple of years where Sam Haggerty has been that. How important are guys like them during this stretch?
Well, they're certainly coming through right now. You know, Rojas, when they turned to him and they had to go to him at third base when Arias just didn't work out, he really, really provided that spark for the better part of a month. And then spent a lot of time trying to find it, but he absolutely is coming through in a big time right now. Now, he's done it with some of the top defense that you were going to see at third base this year, so that's fantastic. But the bat did kind of fall behind. And we're seeing it pick up right now. And what that does is it obviously lengthens the lineup. And, he knows what he's doing up there. He's been around long enough. He's a very smart baseball player. So when he can do things like steal the base last night, come through with a good at bat on Sunday night, and go from there, that is something that absolutely helps the team. And his defense has absolutely helped his pitching staff, which is beyond, there's so much value in that. Rivas is somebody that we're learning about, and, he's really stepped up. This isn't a guy that you really probably had penciled in at shortstop for any length of time this year at the big league level. He was kind of break glass in case of emergency, and they got to the emergency part. And a little bit bumpy out of the gates for him, but has been, again, very good at the bottom of the order, knows who he is, doesn't try to get too big at the plate, which is huge. And, he does what you're supposed to do down there, turn it over to the top of the order, and every now and then comes through with something big. And he's making the plays that you expect him to at shortstop. So he's absolutely, it's kind of worst case scenario when you lose J.P. Crawford for the amount of time that you have, but he has done a very nice job both in the field and at the plate for them.
Hey, Shannon, I'm very open to being absolutely wrong about this next one. And I say that because I've had so many texters say, oh my God, they can play more small ball. Like, they should be calling for that. They should be doing this. And Shannon, the way I've always thought of it, and tell me if I'm wrong, is like, well, it's kind of how your roster is constructed too. Like, they don't not play small ball because they want to hit home runs. They just happen to have the hitters they do, and they've struggled to make contact all year. But is it possible ever for a team to just kind of change that philosophy and call for a different approach? And do you see that from Wilson?
I don't think so. I think a lot of people, because they've seen stolen bases, because they've seen a bunt or two since Dan has become the manager, are thinking that they're seeing it, but I don't think they are. I think that the bases have been pretty situational. Robbie Ray, very slow to the plate. Kirk Casale behind the plate, not great back there. You're going to take advantage. Mm-hmm. And they should. Everybody who can run should be running when they can. And that's something that, before, that's something that's been asked for quite a bit lately. This is nothing new. The bunts that we have seen, you haven't really seen the sacrifice. If you're going to bunt for a hit, they're normally okay with it. And then I think, there was another bunt you saw that I'm 99% sure was not called for from the dugout. So I don't think that you're really seeing it right now. But you got to maximize everything that you have, regardless of what you are supposed to be. So if you do think that you can get on base and the guy behind you can take the at-bat and either advance you or perhaps hit you in, then maybe you do that. Kind of interesting that Cal Raleigh tried to drop a bunt yesterday, later in the game, leading off an inning. And it's something in an opportunity that he saw that was available to him with the third baseman back. So he thought, what, why not try? He got hit by the pitch, so we don't know what would have happened there. But I don't think it's small ball so much if that you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see them really calling steals from the dugout. Guys either have the red light or they don't, green light or they don't. And the guys who maybe have to give a little bit more of a push, like, guys, we do actually really want you to run here. Please go. You might see that a little bit. I don't think you're going to see more bunts. I don't think you're going to see more hit and runs. I think they want their guys to go up there and to swing the bat, and the numbers back that up. And Dan Wilson, I think, is a nice mix. He, came up old school. That's what baseball was when he was playing, but he's also spent many years in the organization and knows the numbers and knows the percentages, and the bunt percentages just aren't good. So I don't think you're going to see much of that, but bottom line is do what you can. And if that means, if that means you think you can get on base, if you're one of those guys, if you're a bunt guy, bunt. Edgar Martinez, on his first day, we interviewed him, and he said one of the funniest things ever. And he said that we just want the hitters to be who they are. And this is nothing new. I mean, everything that I'm hearing right now is everything that was being asked for before, but it is in a different voice. But Edgar said, if you're a contact guy, be a contact guy. If you're a line drive, gap-to-gap guy, be a gap-to-gap guy. If you're a home run hitter, we don't really have those. And then he went on to the next one. And that's just the biggest thing. They're not asking anybody to be anything other than what they are.
Shannon, I look at the Dan Wilson situation, and I think he's in a win-win type of deal. I think if they don't make the playoffs, there's really no pressure on him. He's going to have an offseason to help build and get to spring training. And if he wins, he looks like a hero. How much pressure do you think is on Dan Wilson to win?
I think it's exactly what you say, but I also know Dan Wilson and how competitive he is, and this is his record, This is so he, of course, his pressure is whatever he puts on himself in that regard. And I think the fact that he is the manager right now and there is no interim manager, and that was a very unusual move, that they did not have a search, that they didn't take advantage of the chance to bring in a lot of different people and hear a lot of different things and get different eyes on their team. You get a lot of information when you have any kind of search because they have to tell you what they see in your group. I think because they didn't do that, I think that was very much a move to, our goal was to win the division, go out there and win the division. That wasn't throwing in the towel and, we're just going to ride with this till the end of the year. That was keep going. And so any pressure, what can the expectation be with where they are if he takes over and the playoff chances are, 12 to 15%? That is kind of an unreasonable expectation. Maybe you can pull off the miracle. We'll see. But I think any pressure that he has at this point is what he puts on himself and what he wants out of the group that he sees and what he thinks he can accomplish with it.
Mariners continue that series against the Rays today. Don't forget there's a matinee finale tomorrow. She is Mariners insider Shannon Dreer. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.
You got it, guys.
Okay, thank you again to Shannon, as well as Mariners broadcaster Aaron Goldsmith, and of course Mariners Director of Player Development Justin Toole. All of our guests today, absolutely fantastic for the dugout. For Michael Bumpus, Matt Nelson, Curtis Rogers, I'm Stacey Rost. Wyman and Bob coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
It's a sprained MCL for Uchenna Nwosu, and he's expected to miss anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks.
Just talked about how important he is to particularly the run game and setting the edge, but how important he is to this team is such a shame, and that's just your worst nightmare, right?
Yeah, for you to get hurt in the final preseason game, you're right. It is every coach's fear if you are playing your starter. Some coaches don't do it, and they'll point to this is why they don't.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Motorcycle riders, Bob Stelton here. I love this time of year. The weather's nice. I'm out on the bike as often as possible. And knock on wood, I've never been in an accident. But maybe you have. And if you have, you need to call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. First of all, your case evaluation is completely free. They don't get paid until you get paid. And they should be the first call you make after a motorcycle accident. And I'll tell you why. Because they fight for you, the motorcycle rider, and your family to get you the compensation you deserve. With over 20 years of experience, they're going to handle your case with the respect and dignity you deserve. The insurance company wants to get away with paying out the lowest settlement they can as quickly as they can. With the Law Tigers, you don't have to handle your motorcycle case alone. So why should you hire Law Tigers after an accident? They can help you get your motorcycle and gear repaired or replaced. Law Tigers knows how important your motorcycle is to you, so after you've been in an accident, give them a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, that's 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
To me, the LJ way is to provide an experience that people really enjoy being a part of. And they enjoy being a part of it because they're getting great service. They're talking with somebody that actually they feel cares about them. They care about what their impression is going to be walking away. It's also understanding you're now part of our family, and thank you for doing the business with us. And this is how we're going to show our appreciation through customer service. We're going to show our appreciation with taking care of you if you ever have an issue. Majority of the people that are coming to see us are within our community. These are people who are providing maybe services that we also use in our community. So the LJ way, to me, somebody can come into a retail setting and not feel like they got to have their guard up. And that's been